All right. How's it going? Um, Gonna react to this George Santos versus Destiny debate. I saw it when it came out probably a few days ago. I don't know if it's been a whole week yet, but this is a really good example. You can compare this to many other debates that liberals have. Destiny absolutely dominates the hell out of this debate. And I think I heard him talk about it. I think he was a little self-conscious, like maybe he went too hard. But I think the reality is that the right typically goes this hard and interrupts this much and controls the flow of the conversation this much. And I think that we're just so not used to embodying that same tact that it feels uncomfortable. It feels like we're doing something wrong. But the reality is that the right makes stuff up. They lie. They exaggerate. And they're not really playing fairly. And we need to not be so apologetic about standing firm on these things. And so, I've talked a lot about in political debate and discourse rhetoric about dominating the flow of the conversation, controlling the initiative, not just reacting. And this debate is a perfect example of that. Destiny just controls the flow of the debate. He controls where it goes. He doesn't let Santos get away with even like minor nonsense. I've talked in the past about picking and choosing your battles. That's absolutely always going to be true. But in this case, I think, he doesn't linger on things that are small issues. Even if he like knocks out little stupid points that Santos makes, he does so in a way that keeps it going and doesn't get bogged down on distractions. So anyways, let's just go ahead and get it started, and then we'll react as we go along.
Any opinion? Stupid.
Hold on, let me turn my headphones on. I couldn't hear anything. All right.
Opinions are something that people are entitled to have.
Okay,
I don't
just
care.
curious. Is your doctor entitled to believe in the four humors?
Okay.
I actually don't think he phrased this the best way. He is entitled, like people are entitled to have different opinions. Yeah. But I think the point that Destiny was trying to make is whether or not they're entitled legally doesn't mean like, oh, we should just humor everybody's stupid opinion. Like people who have dumb opinions, irresponsible opinions, opinions that reflect poorly on their judgment or their character should absolutely factor into like whether or not that person should hold a certain position or a certain role, whether we should respect their opinion or their position or role. Like the point that he's making here is like basically should your doctor, like should we expect or should we tolerate doctors that just have like random dumb opinions on things? Well, no, because when we go to doctors, when we have doctors, we want to make sure that those doctors are qualified. We don't want any just random person who doesn't know what they're doing to be administering bad advice, irresponsible medical advice and treatments to people, right? So this idea that we just allow and we tolerate, and we just don't care that everybody has like random dumb opinions, right, is nonsense. We don't operate this way in the real world. For some reason, I think that we give like an exclusion to politicians, but politicians, if anything, have even greater responsibility to be held to a standard of knowing what they're talking about and being honest, right? I don't like how we've gotten into this position in society where politicians regularly lie, they make up stuff, they're irresponsible with their rhetoric, and we just give them a pass on it because it's like, well, free speech. And it's like, yeah, they do have the free speech, but you also have the ability to judge them for it.
Let me.
Is your auto mechanic entitled to believe? Like, I'm just curious.
Also, I'm going to speed up the video a little bit. We'll do like a 1.25 because this is this is almost 2 hours. And we'll be here forever if we don't speed it up a bit.
Because the only reason I'm asking this,
Look, it doesn't matter.
That was obviously a stupid statement.
Of course.
You obviously just said something very stupid, right? I'm just saying, there's more evidence for Trump being senile than there ever was for Biden.
That is so not true.
Really?
True to the dimensionary. What the hell does that mean?
True to the what?
Well, I don't know. That's literally what
Sure.
Joe Biden.
It's funny to me that they chose these 2 points as highlights because I don't think they're the strongest points. I really don't like when liberals try to make this argument, frankly, that like, oh, Trump is actually more senile than Biden. I don't know. Maybe in some technical sense, I don't really know. But the reality is that that's not even remotely convincing to the average person because Trump looks like he has vitality. Same thing with like Bernie Sanders, right? Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, these are all very old people. But there's a clear difference between like Bernie Sanders versus Mitch McConnell, for example, right? Mitch McConnell's practically dead. You get it? But like Trump and Bernie have a lot of energy. they're able to, like, even if Trump doesn't really make great points, even if he's speaking nonsense, Trump is able to like be very present in a conversation, control the flow of a conversation. Biden, at least in the 2024 campaign season, during the debates and whatnot, he looks like, even if you can chalk it up to his stutter, whatever it may be, right? To a general public, Biden looks like he is slowed down considerably in terms of his ability to kind of process things quickly and respond quickly and stuff. So when you try to sell like, oh, you know, Donald Trump is more senile, the average general person just doesn't feel that way, and it's not very convincing. I wouldn't bother with that. Instead, I would just make the point that, you know, this is actually the way that I phrase it. I'm a little cheeky about it. I might say, like, you know, Biden is getting really old. You know, I'm just gonna give it to you that he's senile. But what's Trump's excuse? Because Trump can speak in full sentences, but he still says stupid shit. Trump can speak in full sentences. He can control a room or whatever, but he still lies. He still makes up stuff. He still doesn't know what he's talking about, right? At least Biden has the excuse of, you know, he's struggling with some kind of, you know, decline a little bit. It takes a little bit of time to find his words. But I would rather take that over somebody who just is making stuff up, doesn't know what they're talking about, has, like, even when they weren't senile, they were still stupid, right? So that's the way I would phrase it, rather than trying to do this, like, oh, you know, try to convince people that Trump is actually more senile than Biden. It doesn't appear that way to people, and you're not going to be very convincing.
You brought up the
Define that word.
that he misspoke.
He misspoke a lot.
Donald Trump misword us. Isn't it crazy that,
Because Biden wasn't a fucking nursing home patient.
at least Biden's not a fucking word?
He is a retard. Biden is a demented retard.
You're making fun of a car firing on half the cylinders while your car doesn't have any tires. It can't get up.
See, and that's basically what I was talking about, which is go more towards not trying to debate whether one is more senile than the other, but like, this person is obviously like not better for the country. His judgment isn't better. It's actually kind of remarkable that somebody who, if we were to grant that Donald Trump is not senile and supposed to be like more cognitively de-aged than Biden, so to speak, it's actually remarkable that he still makes much worse decisions politically and, you know, gets us into really stupid policy positions. Like, what's the excuse? You know what I mean?
Let's introduce these two men. The first person I would like to introduce up here on stage, he's one of the biggest live streamers on the planet.
I don't know what this guy's name is, but I've seen some clips of him and I like him a lot.
Happy to call him a friend. The one, the only, Destiny. Come up on stage, Destiny. The other guy that I'm inviting on stage right now, you might have heard of him. He's been in the news the last couple years. He is a former congressman. He's also told me that he is Jewish. That's what he just told me backstage. Apparently,
I forgot about
he used to
that.
be a very good volleyball player at Baruch University, and he also has a wonderful sense of humor. I think this is going to be, I know it's going to be a very entertaining debate. The one, the only, former Congressman, Mr. George Santos.
George and Destiny, thank you guys for being here today.
I mean, it's worth kind of pointing out, obviously, that George Santos is not considered like a strong debater. So in this case, it's easy for Destiny to control this debate to make him look foolish, but like, do it anyways. Like, this isn't a game that we're playing. This is like the future of our country. So these people want to represent their political party. They want to represent the Republican Party and everything. That's on them. If they can't defend their position, if they look stupid, if they're not good at debate, that's on them. That's on the Republican Party. That's on the right for propping these people up as the representatives of the party. It's not like the right goes easy on people that aren't, you know, amazing debaters on the left side. So why should we?
I'm excited. So we have kind of two prompts. It's a long, loaded debate. So each of you could basically have two affirmative statements to talk about today. So on Destiny's side, you approved of the statement, the modern Republican Party has abandoned the rule of law in exchange for loyalty to Donald Trump. That is the position that you will be defending, Destiny. George, you submitted that the Democratic Party is ignoring election results and opt for coronations instead. That is the position you will also be defending. So what we'll do is opening statements. We'll open with you. I would like you to address both points, ideally. And then we'll go to you, open with both points. And then it's going to be a free-for-all. The moderation is going to be the same as we've done all night. So by and large, I'm going to try to be as neutral as possible, stay just in between you two. Please, no slurs. We're on YouTube, so be TOS friendly. Don't go crazy, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to slap the mic out of your hand. Other things to be aware of, if you interrupt to a point where I can't even hear who's saying what, I'm going to pause you guys. But you can be spicy, okay? Go ahead, have fun. Interruptions make debates and conversations, I think, flow better, if I'm being honest.
Ready to go?
Yeah, all right.
let's go.
Take it away.
I think that the current administration.
Hi. Hi, Destiny.
Hello, George. How's it going?
Okay, now we can start. All
Now we
right.
can start.
Jesus, rude.
That last
This is a rhetorical tactic that some people use, which is they will. You're going to notice that George Santos does this throughout the debate. Is George Santos? It's almost like a fawn. They talk about the responses to fear. There's like the freeze, flee, and I think the other one is fawn. So Santos throughout the debate, you'll notice he's going to like try to kind of brush things off or downplay things as like, oh, we're all just having fun. Like, it's just a joke. We're just playing around. Don't go too hard. Like, oh, you're going hard on me kind of thing. Trying to like almost acquire a bit of like pity, right? Like, oh, don't go too hard on me. Like, oh, we're just friends. We're just joking around. We're just having a good time. It could be a bit of a trick because Santos is also going to say a lot of things that are untrue, like factually untrue. He's going to exaggerate things. There's going to be a lot of partisan things that he says. But there are people that do this where they'll do that while simultaneously trying to hedge off the criticism by being like, oh, well, I'm just joking. I'm just being jovial. We're all just having a good time here. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're still saying a lot of things that are untrue. You're still being very partisan. You're still accusing people of stuff that's not fair. So just because like you're pretending that you're jovial about it doesn't mean I can just let you get away with it, right? And in this case, Destiny doesn't let him do that. We'll see that right now.
It was a warm-up for what's going to happen here, guys. No, I'm just kidding. I think the current administration has a novel interpretation of how the U.S. government works, and by U.S. government, I mean exclusively the White House.
Worth noting, too, one way to diffuse that sometimes is when they're acting like that, you can just kind of like, okay. Like, act kind of serious, act like this person's kind of acting weird. Just kind of not even feed into it, just completely ignore their attempts to do that, and then just move forward with like a serious tone, like, oh, okay. Yeah, you want to like joke around and be meme and be funny and stuff, but like, I'm not even taking the bait on that. I'm not even impressed by it. And that's the demeanor that you want to show is like, I'm not even impressed by it. I'm not even fazed by it. I'm not even falling for it.
Whether you're talking foreign affairs and you're talking murdering Venezuelans that are off the coast of South America and having absolutely no regard for international law or norms, whether you're talking about continuing on in this Iran war, which is now an illegal war, which Congress and the Republicans have completely abdicated their duty on restraining the president on, whether we're talking about the slew of hilariously vapid and stupid indictments that are coming out from the White House that are trying to make it so apparently every right-wing movement that wasn't real in the United States actually was really real, but they were only really real because the SPLC was secretly funding all of them. There's just absolutely no like honest engagement with the structure of the government, with how it's supposed to work in any part of this administration, in a way that is so far and away from anything we've ever seen in this country before, except for maybe in Trump 1, where he was still restrained by people that knew how government functioned. I honestly have no idea what a defensive rule of law is going to look like. I anticipate bringing up something like Obama weaponizing the IRS, which never happened, which is why there were no criminal charges for it, and why there was no serious investigation that said as much. We could try to bring up Obama assassinating a U.S. citizen, an opinion that he went to his Office of Legal Counsel for. They said it was probably okay. This guy was a terrorist overseas. Nobody sought to hold Obama accountable for this. We try to make some comparisons, but nothing reaches the level of just blatant disregard for structure of government as what we have right now with the Trump administration. I don't think I've ever seen federal authorities murder U.S. citizens and then be whisked away to freedom by the same federal government that says that they're doing it for our own good to enforce immigration law. As for the second prompt, what was his? He's defending what?
Oh boy, he got me. Democratic Party is ignoring election results and opt for coronations instead.
I mean, this is the same party where, I don't know if this is like mass programming that they do behind the scenes, where they all have to get the, Joe Biden was certified the winner of the 2020 presidential election, and they can't even answer honestly for who won that election. I can't think of anything more to do with coronations than the Republican Party when it comes to Donald Trump. I feel like these people think that Trump has won the past 4 elections and think that he's going to win the next one even if he doesn't run, so I don't know. I mean, we can talk about the Kamala Biden thing. That was far from a coronation.
What about Plattner?
What about Plattner? He's
Plattner is actually an incredibly good example for liberals and for the left because it illustrates the distinction between how the right and the left police standards and don't allow or do allow, alternatively, people within their movement to engage in really bad behavior, So, Plattner, people tepidly supported him. I mean, there were people that were very gung-ho in supporting him on the left particularly, but your more like mainline liberals were very tepid in their support for him. There were some accusations that came out of like him being a little bit creepy and whatnot. Once the like legitimate rape allegation came out, then the support for him collapsed among moderate liberals, among people on the left. You compare that to Donald Trump, Ken Paxton on the Republican side, and these are people that have had like legitimate accusations of either rape or sexual abuse. Sometimes, like in Trump's case, dozens and dozens of people, and the right doesn't pull their support for them. They continue to support those people, and they make excuses for it, and they deny that these things happen, right? So Santos is trying to bring it up as like an example of like, oh, look at how bad you guys are. And it's, well, actually, you brought up a really good example of the distinction between how, liberals versus conservatives handle impropriety among people on their sides.
He's gone, isn't he?
Yep, exactly.
Well, we don't know yet, but it's a pretty awkward position. But those are my openers. We go back with it. You can give your openers.
Yeah,
go for it.
you know what? Thank you. Sorry
You're
for
welcome.
interjecting
Go
there.
ahead.
It was very hard to say shut. But from the rule of law and Department of Justice, I'm going to start there, obviously, because I have a bone or two to pick of how I feel on that. But as far as rule of law, the way that you characterize it, it's overly broad, the way that Destiny put it forward. I think it's a little bit more specific, and there's a lot more nuance in the sense of the SPLC was, in fact, funding radical organizations. It's delineated in the indictment because last I checked, Democrats love looking at indictments when it's somebody like me being indicted, and a lot of people probably in this room went line by line.
Worth noting, if you're not familiar with George Santos, he was found guilty of using campaign funds to just like fund lavish, like buy stuff for himself. I think he used it to like go on trips and stuff like that. So he wasn't using it for legitimate campaign purposes. And this was probably like one of the most flagrant examples of it that we've seen in modern politics. And then Trump pardoned him, of course, because they're so corrupt.
Made memes. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It just made my cameos more expensive.
Wait, just to check the audio. Did you say indicted or convicted?
Well, I'm talking about indictments right now, right? Well, convictions, that comes later, right? So when it comes to people like me and you look through an indictment, you guys go line by line. And as I said, thank you for that. My cameos were amazing. But in all seriousness, when you start looking at it for what it is, you guys will not have a single opposition to anything that's in an indictment against somebody like a George Santos or a Donald Trump. But the moment you put the shoe on the other hand, oh, this is all fake. On the other foot, whatever. Like I can sit here and do it all backwards. Like I famously said, I can.
See, now this is a good example of in a debate. I hear him say that, right? The shoe on the other hand. I caught that, obviously. But I might ignore it, and I probably would ignore it, because you do not want to get in the habit of allowing yourself to go on tangents that distract away from the important points. And that's something I try to impress oftentimes when I break down debate analyses, is some people fall into this where they feel like they got to nitpick every little thing. And it's like, you need to know what are the strong points to focus your attention on, because there's only so much time. There's only so much audience attention. Pisco, for example, if you're aware, Pisco is another political commentator streamer. He has this issue. I like Pisco, and he's a very smart guy. But he will seize on every single little thing, and it pulls the conversation away from where it needs to be, where the liberals have like the strongest points to make, and they wind up in tangents that are irrelevant. So like, I heard him say it, who cares, move on, focus on the stuff that actually matters. Unless you want to throw in a little quip real fast, but you got to make it real quick because it's not worth the time to get distracted.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I can? Oh,
Yeah,
I
just
can
don't
swear?
drop
Oh, okay.
slurs. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, just like
Oh,
that.
sorry. All right. So the point that I'm trying to make is, yes, it is bad what the SPLCs did. Is it hard for you to admit that funding the KKK is bad, Destiny?
Are you done with your openers?
No, I'm not done with it. That was a question in the middle of my opener.
I think that having people that serve as informants, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
You think that's the limitation of what the funds were?
Yeah, so to be clear, I was letting them kind of adjudicate that before I wanted to chime in. But in case you're not aware of that case, you'll hear a lot of conservatives say this. What actually happened that they don't mention because they know, and they're straight up just like dishonest liars, manipulators, is when they say the SPLC was funding these white nationalist groups, what they're referring to is that the SPLC was paying informants to infiltrate these groups, right? They make it sound like the SPLC was funding these groups because the SPLC was supporting them, when the SPLC was trying to infiltrate them to get information on what they're doing so that they could track these extremist groups and try to report on them and expose them, right? Completely different connotation. But of course, Santos and other Republicans, they're going to frame it in a way where they're relying on people not to know that so that they can try to manipulate people with that line.
Before.
That's my understanding.
Okay,
To gather
all right,
information. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, that's what's in the indictment, right?
That's a fair answer.
That's what's in the indictment.
I agree. But
Now you see what Santos did there was Santos was trying to trying to think of what the technical term for this would be, but he frames it as a question. Oh, so you're trying to say that's all they were doing? But you notice that it's a rhetorical tactic sometimes when you ask a person, you're not actually making a statement. You're almost like you're bluffing the other person to go like, okay, are you saying that that's all they fund? You're saying that they didn't fund anything else for any other reasons? And they're relying on you to try to be like, well, wait a second, maybe you know something I don't know. So I'm going to say, oh, well, actually, I'm going to concede that point to him. But you see, Destiny called his bluff because Destiny just straight up said, yeah, that is all they funded it for. And Santos immediately folded, which illustrates that Santos knew that, Santos didn't have any other example of the SPLC funding these extremist groups in some nefarious bad way. But he wasn't relying on Destiny to call him out on that. And as soon as Destiny did, he immediately dropped that point.
funding anything like the KKK, I don't care if it's an informant. I don't think we need to fund it.
Oh, really? So any dollar that for any intelligence, for any military, anything that serves as an operative or
no, what I'm
informant,
saying is we don't need an informant to know that the KKK is bad at this point. It's 2026.
Well, it's not to let us know the KKK is bad. It's to keep informed on things that might do in the future, right?
I understand
Also, it's the SPLC, which is not the government. So
I understand. All right. So
Okay.
And then on my position, and I'm just gonna go with this, and then we'll just get into it because I don't want to be too long-winded. Democrats ignore primary voters, and I'm not saying this to be cute. Joe Biden was nominated to be president, even though the people had issues with him and knew that his performance wasn't going to be the same. I'm not going to sit here and make attacks at the former president. Okay, it's just not my MO. You know that because we've interacted before. Attacking is not my thing. I rather make fun of it, but not attack it. It's not cool. So there were obvious.
There's that kind of point that I was making before, is that Santos is going to try to kind of hide behind oh, I'm just joking, I'm just having fun. But no, your jokes are to make a point. Your jokes are pointed. You're making statements about people framed as jokes, so that way if anyone calls you out on it, you can retreat into oh, well, I'm just joking. Don't take things so seriously, guy.
Obvious problems with Joe Biden and the capacity for him to perform, especially running circles around somebody like Donald Trump, who's going to literally make a meme out of the entire race. And we knew that was going to happen, right? So then they go and do the whole switcheroo with Kamala, completely ignore the Democrat base, and now they're doing the same thing in Maine. Remember that Graham Plattner had a lot of these allegations already out there, and still 145,000 Mainers went out there and said, we don't care, we want him as our candidate. And then all of a sudden, the DC establishment's like, no, we can't afford this. It's going to look bad.
Might sound kind of convincing, right? But when he says that millions of voters knew about the allegations before they voted for Plattner in the primary, they didn't know about the that recent rape allegation. That rape allegation came after Plattner had already secured the primary nomination. So once voters got that new information, once political commentators, and this is across the board, this is left-wing progressive and moderate liberals, were all in agreement that, hey, this is too far for us. Now we're going to drop this guy.
Bad because all of a sudden, polling in the general started to look bad. And once again, the Democrats are ignoring the democratic process that took place, and they're going to find somebody to put a crown on their head and say, this is our candidate. That's wrong. I think we're all better than that.
The reality is the reason why he and other Republicans are trying to say this now is because they want Plattner to be kept in the race, because it'll be easier for them to defeat him in a general election because he has this baggage. That's the real reason. He's trying to frame it as oh, well, I'm actually trying to defend the average Democratic voter, that I care about them and their choices. It's no, not really. You want to keep that candidate in so that you could win, and so that Democratic voters don't actually get to send someone to Congress. That's the real reason.
And I think we should do better. And Democrats want to criticize us, but this is the way that they're behaving with their elections, and I think it's reprehensible. And I'll leave it at that.
Go ahead. It's open.
It is. Can we agree that every single person right now, every judge, anybody that made it to any position of the government that couldn't honestly answer who won the 2020 election should be removed when the next president comes into play?
No, I disagree. People are entitled to their opinion. Remember one
Any
thing.
opinion?
Stupid opinion.
Isn't the question, like, do you think these people should not serve in office if they have, X, Y, and Z judgment or position or character or whatever? Isn't that an opinion? Are you not entitled to have that opinion?
Opinions are something that people are entitled to have.
Okay,
I don't
just
care.
curious. Is your doctor entitled to believe in the four humors?
Okay. Let me.
Is your auto mechanic
Hold on,
entitled to believe? Like, I'm just curious because the only reason I'm
Again, I don't like the way he's framing it. Yes, they're entitled to have that opinion, but the point he's making is that you wouldn't want these people to be your doctor or be your auto mechanic if they have stupid ideas. If you have like an auto mechanic, you go to them and you're like, I need my brakes replaced. And then they're talking about how your brakes are located in, or let's say I need you to inspect my brakes. And then they open up your hood and they're looking around in your engine compartment. And you're like, well, wait a second. You don't seem like you even know where the brakes are located. You're entitled to your opinion thinking that the brakes are located in the engine compartment. That's your right. You're allowed to have that right. But you're not entitled for me to hire you for that job. My assessment of your judgment, your capacities, your knowledge base is a relevant determining factor for me to decide whether or not I think that you are qualified for that position. Much in the same way that if you have a politician who doesn't know basics about governmental structure, who doesn't have proper judgment, that's relevant for me to have the opinion that I don't think that you're qualified for that position, and I don't think you should represent us in government. By the way, conservatives know this and they support this position because if they didn't feel that way, they wouldn't have an issue with Democrats holding office. But clearly they do think that some people shouldn't hold office because they don't want Democrats to hold office. Just like the rest of us. We all have, when we go to the ballot box, we make a decision. I don't think this person should represent me. I think this person should represent me, right? This idea that we're just supposed to let everybody represent us. Like, no, we actually do as voters make a decision whether or not somebody should represent us in government based on our understanding of who that person is.
It doesn't matter to
That
me
was
if it's
obviously
stupid.
a stupid statement.
Of course.
You obviously just said something very stupid, right? That
No.
anyone is entitled to their opinion? We're not talking about who we're sitting next to at bingo, right? Where these are people that are holding official. I don't want anybody to have a random opinion if they're nominated to be a federal judge. I want to feel like they know and understand the law and can answer basic questions sometimes of law and fact. And if they don't even know who won the 2020 election, why would I trust them to adjudicate any other case?
Justice Jackson couldn't define what a woman was.
Is that a question before the court right now? What do you mean?
No, it's not. But you're saying about stupid questions. When you're being nominated to be the Supreme Court Justice of the United States and you're asked, what's a woman? I'm not a biologist. I can't define that.
I've gone over this point so many times. It is unacceptable. Liberals have to have an answer to this question. We can't just keep dodging this question. I see a lot of liberals dodging this question all the time. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I've talked about this so many times. If you want to know, if you want to ask me, I'll give you my definition, right? But I'm just making the point that conservatives are going to keep bringing up that point because it is a point that is salient to a general public. And we can't just run away from that like, oh, it's okay that people in our movement or officials that we have are like running away from that question. It makes us look bad. We have to answer that question. Granted, in this context, Santos is trying to like distract away from the point that Destiny was making. Like, oh, well, what about this? Well, let's bring it back to what we were talking about.
You see what I'm saying?
I
It's so
submit to
easy
you,
to say these
do you
things.
think that it's easier to give a concrete, simple definition of what is a woman versus who won the 2020 election?
Yes.
Really?
It's as simple
Is
as
the
who won.
2020 election that difficult, or?
No, I think it's simple. It's simple to answer who won the 2020 election. I think it's
I do
simple
that in
to
one
answer what
word.
is a
How many
woman.
words does it take for you to define a woman? Look, who won 2020 election? Biden. See how easy that was? It was one word, single word, super
Biden
easy.
won the 2020 election. I think you got the wrong guy up here.
No,
I'm
I'm not asking about
but
you.
I did say Joe Biden won the election.
You're not a federal judge and you're not in cabinet positions where these things are coming up. I'm saying that all of the people appointed who can't honestly answer who won the 2020 election, they're doing it because they're afraid of what?
That's not true. Look, that's my opinion. Now, if you want me to go observe and see what other people are saying, I'll give an example. I was on the ballot in 2020, by the way, in New York for Congress. It was my first run. 2 days after the election, I was up by something, I don't know, I think it was like 4,000 votes, 4,500 votes, something like that. It was enough ahead that I got invited to go down to orientation in DC, right? So I'm there, whatever, doing my thing. And then absentee ballots come in. There's 17,000 absentee ballots. Majority of them were military. Military ballots were breaking, I think it was like 60-40 for Republicans. Everybody's like, oh my God, you might have just pulled off the biggest upset in the country right now. I'm like, not going to celebrate before every single miserable ballot is counted. 7 days after the election passes, that's the cutoff for absentee ballots to come in. Andrew Cuomo goes on TV and says, it has been brought to my attention that there's a lot of ballots in the USPS, wherever, I don't know where, and I am going to now extend for 3 more days for ballots to be delivered. Now, first of all, that's changing election law after Election Day. You should have prepared for this before Election Day. I think that's a fair thing to say.
So, I mean, I get the point that by technicalities, right, oh, this is what the rules are supposed to be. But at the end of the day, the rules exist for what reason? Because we want the rules to reflect the positive outcomes that we want them to effectuate in society. The point of elections is that the will of the voters is represented in our government. If the governor decides, hey, you know, this time around, for whatever reason, the deadline, like we have a lot of outstanding ballots that still need to be counted, is it really a bad thing? Like, isn't that why we have governors and presidents to have like executive orders to do those things where they're doing, they're not inventing new agencies, they're not doing sweeping legislation, they're just nibbling around the edges of existing policy for these specific kinds of like exceptional circumstances. Why would we not want to count all the ballots? Why would that be a bad thing? To me, that is a good use of executive authority to make one of those like, you know, quick in the moment emergency decisions, because we want all the votes to be counted. As long as the votes were turned in at the deadline on Election Day, then we should count all of them. Why would we? That's the real question. That's the question that I would flip back around. Like, why does you and your party, why do you guys think that it's reasonable for you to suggest all the time all of these little like nitpicks and technicalities and trying to put new rules in place in order to make it so that we don't count everybody's vote? Why? How is that reasonable? How does that reflect somebody who wants to be an honest representative of our country when you don't even want the voice of all the people in our country that you're supposed to represent to even actually be accounted for? That's the real question.
He changed election law after Election Day, right? And allowed for ballots to come in a little longer. Post-date Election Day, I'm not saying that the post-date was
that a bad thing?
But afterwards, that's kind of fishy. And then all of a sudden, 70,000 ballots came in my race. I lost the race, whatever, I can see.
What do you mean all of the sudden? You just said that they knew that they didn't count all these ballots. Why are you pretending like all of a sudden all these ballots came in? They knew there was a bunch of ballots that hadn't been counted yet. So the idea that now you have a bunch of ballots that now get counted, yeah, no shit. That's the reason why you extended the deadline. Now, if you think like, oh, that's a little fishy because you don't trust the other party, okay, fine. But you know what you could do? You can avail yourself of, just like we did in 2020, you can ask for recounts. You can ask for audits. That's fair. Sometimes you do that in bad faith. I know Republicans do it in bad faith, but you know what? That's fair. And we could do that. But you know what's probably going to happen if you get those recounts and those audits, just like what happened in 2020, is that it's not going to overturn the election results, because these recounts and audits almost never, like they find a handful of votes sometimes, or they might find like 1 or 2 people who committed voter fraud. But we're talking about elections where you have hundreds of thousands of people voting, millions of people voting, right? We're not having hundreds of millions of votes that are being erroneously counted or that represent fraud. That's not happening. You're not ever overturning any results. And in fact, in 2020, you know, conservatives pretend like this didn't happen. We had tons of recounts and audits in multiple states, and it didn't change the outcome. And they still weren't happy with it. When they talk about like, oh, they're concerned about election fraud and weird inconsistencies in COVID emergency, changes to the rules or whatever, we looked into all that already. You guys are just pretending that we didn't. You're pretending that we never got the answer to that question. What happens if we audit these elections to see if there was any malfeasance? There wasn't any, and you never produced any. And Donald Trump, in his recent announcement, Also, like it was a massive flop on that too. I mean, what did they prove in that? They made a claim that there was a bunch of undocumented voters that were registered. My understanding is that they made those numbers up. Those numbers aren't really supported. It seems like they were making some kind of weird extrapolation or something. Or on the flip side, Donald Trump released information that showed that Russia was actually trying to put out propaganda to get the Republicans elected. That's what was released. Whoa, big, whoop-de fucking do. What a nothing burger.
I didn't agree with the way that it took place, but that's why people have questions, dude. That's really if things like that did happen. I didn't mount some legal insane crusade and go out there and go crazy, but that did happen, and that's a localized issue.
Did somebody sue him over this?
I didn't. I was the only one entitled to sue, and I chose
sue
not
him
to.
over this?
No, I chose not to.
So if it was such a flagrant abuse of the law, why did nobody sue him over it?
The reason I chose not to sue, it would take countless dollars to go and do it. Time.
And we all know Republicans don't like to waste money on lawsuits. Not even just you personally, but nobody else in the Republican establishment.
It was my decision to make, and my decision was no.
Why not? You don't think you could have asked any other Republican? You don't think they would have cared? No Koch brothers? No.
So, remember I talked about being aggressive, being unapologetic, controlling the flow. Destiny is needling him on this issue. He's not letting him run out. He's not giving him a little avenue to escape from the point. It's weird that you make these claims now, but you didn't challenge it at the time. Why not? No, actually, I want you to actually answer that question. Why didn't you then?
No Trump funding, no fundraising, nobody else.
It wasn't about fundraising because we did have a
okay, so I understand what you're saying. So you've given me your personal opinion that you felt like Cuomo shouldn't have done what he felt was in his job as a governor to make sure all the ballots were counted. I understand Republicans don't like when all the votes are counted.
I understand
and
ballots need to be counted.
And your issue with that is that somehow that was against an election process, that he was trying to get all the ballots counted, but you didn't challenge it.
No.
And somehow this is supposed to make me feel some type of way about people not acknowledging him in the 2020 election?
I'm going to say this again. I'm not saying that this is some minor. This is literally changing procedural election law after election day. Period. It's
wrong.
You
can't hype it up this much and then tell me.
But again, as a good way to frame it, you're changing procedure to facilitate people's right to vote. Is that a bad thing? We change procedure all the time. That's the purpose of writing new laws. That's the purpose of the amendment process, right? That's the purpose of a government that even has people that elect people into office, because we want people that we send to office to make changes on our behalf that we want to have changed. Republicans do this as well. Republicans want to change election law. They want to pass the SAVE Act. They want to change the immigration law, right? That's not necessarily a bad thing. Changing the way we do things is part of a representative democracy, it's part of a republic. The question is always going to be, why are we changing procedures? Are we changing procedures because we want to make things better? We're changing procedures in this case to make sure that everybody's votes counted. That seems like a good reason to me. Tell me why that's not.
Tell me, but nobody decided to sue over it.
I chose not to sue over it.
Then
it wasn't worth the squeeze. I was seeing
it wasn't worth a seat in Congress.
Let me put it this way. I saw what was unfolding across the country, right?
Good question. And again, not letting him wiggle out. Oh, wait a second. The excuse, the alibi you're giving me now is you didn't want to challenge it because it was too much effort, it was too much money. Wait a second. That doesn't really seem right. There's a little bit of a weird inconsistency there. You're talking about a seat in the U.S. Congress, and you're telling me the reason that you didn't challenge it, even though you say you had these concerns, is because it was like too much? It would have taken too much time, it would have taken too much effort, it would have taken too much money? You're talking about a seat in Congress. Your story doesn't really add up. That seems kind of weird to me. I'm actually going to grill you on that and make you actually try to defend your position on that, because that seems really weird.
Everything started unfolding, all the lawsuits, everybody, and I saw where it was going, and there was a narrative. The courts were already rendering opinions, dismissing cases. I just didn't want to go through that.
Because so many of the cases were bad cases.
Probably. So if there were a ton of bad cases, you're asking me to argue something that I'm not going to argue.
Well, because when I gave an opinion,
I don't even think they're all bad cases.
When I gave an opinion, you seemed to disagree.
They were poorly presented.
And then what does that say about the case?
Well, I think some of the lawyers are bad. I mean, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to get a lot of flack, but like when you give Sidney Powell a case, you're fucking certifiable.
Well, what does it say if the only lawyers willing to take these cases on are shitty lawyers?
Well, then don't take the case or find a better lawyer. There were good lawyers who did take cases.
Really?
But because of lawyers like Sidney Powell, they got completely destroyed because she set such dangerous, poor precedent to even argue the preface of any kind of irregularity.
I
She's a
submit
nut
to
job.
you that if the only lawyers that are willing to take on the cockamamie ideas that a person is putting forward, it's probably because those ideas are cockamamie ideas. They're bad ideas. They're bad cases. They were from the start. That's why nobody with any air of legitimacy wanted to touch any of them. That's why Barr quit weeks before the actual electoral count. Like every single part of how Trump has conducted himself has left it so that only the most... I don't even know what you call these people, the Lindsay Halligans, the insurance lawyers of the world, will even take jobs, around this guy anymore. I don't think that is an accident. I don't think that Trump can have bad cases that only bad lawyers are willing to take on and then blame the bad lawyers like he did with Bondi when things don't pan out exactly the way he wants it to. I think we can probably say at some point, they're probably bad cases. And I think that past that, we should say, yeah, he lost 2020. It's pretty simple. I think that if you're going to be adjudicating a case in federal court, I don't want a judge in front of me to not know who would have won the 2020 election. I don't want them making any decision about anything about law or fact anywhere near me if they can't even answer that.
Notice he's circling back to the initial point that he was wanting to make here. He managed to, basically test Santos's logic on the points that Santos was bringing up, but he also made sure to loop it back into what he wanted to talk about, which was, I don't think we should be having people in office who won't even acknowledge democracy, who, when they lose elections, will just decide that they're going to ignore the elections that we have. Because that's the reality of what we're talking about here. We're not just talking about people who are don't know. They just don't know any better. Their brain just doesn't work. They can't figure out who won the election. The reality is that if we always have situations where somebody loses an election and then the entire political party on the other side just decides every single time that every time they lose an election, they're just going to make up stuff about fraud and they're just going to say that there was something fishy going on and they don't want to acknowledge the elections, then our entire system of government breaks down. The entire social contract breaks down. The Founding Fathers fought a war over taxation without representation. Representation was the important part there. The social contract, the idea of a Republican form of government, is representation. If we have a system where one party does not want to ever allow or wants to always make up stuff about or always has an excuse for why they cannot accept losing an election, the entire social contract that our entire society is built on is broken. We cannot have a system where the other side doesn't allow us to win elections and have representation in our own government. That's the problem.
That question.
Okay. All right, sure. We don't want a judge that can't define the 2020 election in simple terms, right? And
It's a win or loss, one word.
I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to go back to the statement I made earlier about Ketanji Jackson or whatever her name is, Justice Jackson or Brown, whatever.
I don't think trying to track somebody on a gender definition for the trans obsession stuff.
She's going to have to hear cases on.
By the way, I don't think Destiny's wrong on this. I think the definition of that term is more complicated than the average person thinks. But you have to understand that point, making that point, that's a whole rabbit hole in and of itself. And you don't really have the time without allowing him to get you. Santos is trying to distract away from the point that Destiny's making. If Destiny gets bogged down in what is a woman, why is that a complicated question, now we're off on a tangent and he's successfully steered us away from our wheelhouse into his wheelhouse, right? Or in a place where it's very controversial and it takes a lot of back and forth debating to even make a point one way or the other. So, yeah.
Women's health.
Then she can write her opinion on those cases on women's health, and you can see if you agree or disagree with what.
What is a woman? That's important.
Yeah, but I don't know if she's going to commit to some answer here that's going to be used against her in the future. It's in the climate today. I don't know if that's a simple answer. Even Jordan Peterson didn't give a simple answer in the "What Is a Woman" documentary with Matt Walsh. To try to say that.
I personally would just concede, hey, yeah, you know what? I think that she should have an answer to that question. I agree with you. Now let's get back to the point that I was making, right? Rather than getting bogged down and trying to argue this point back and forth, it's not going to be very convincing to a general audience. Just say, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're right. She should have had to answer that question. But that doesn't excuse you guys. That doesn't excuse all the Trump officials who are trying to deny the results of an election. So let's get back to that point.
that you can simply define some gender, whatever. Like, if we're talking for health stuff, then sure, adult human female has ovaries, whatever. You want to say that's fine. But to pretend like that, clearly, massively ideologically motivated question, and I think it's interesting you bring this up as an example because I think it cuts to the core of the issue, is that when you look at a Republican and you ask them, like, what is 1 + 1? They'll look back at you and they'll say, like, well, do you think a fetus is a human? And they act like this is the same type of question. You're laughing, but it's true. You bring the most ideologically loaded questions, and if you don't have a clear-cut answer for that, then it's like, I don't know, is the sky blue? Is the dirt brown? I don't know, I can't answer it. If we can't set some kind of standard of, like, even acknowledging who won an election, we're doomed. And having any other greater conversation topic is like, what's next? Is the president going to convince people that a camouflage guy was taking a machete and hacking apart the reflection pool without any footage? Like, is that going to be the next, like, which he's doing right now? That's an open lie that Trump is selling, right? Or is it going to be Trump on Truth Social saying, I need a lawyer who's brave enough to go and prosecute these 3 individuals, and I don't even care if it's an insurance lawyer like Lindsay Halligan and who's going to be appointed and do it, and she doesn't even know how to fucking run an indictment? This person's ever been in a criminal court in her life? This is where we're at.
I just knew I was going to come in here and I was going to have to talk about the goddamn reflection poll. I just knew it. I knew it. You weren't going to let it
Republicans
slide.
need to do some reflecting, okay?
Oh my God, can you shut up about it already? Jesus Christ. Okay, anyway, the reflecting poll is just... Oh, wow. Anyway.
I mean, it really is a microcosm for the whole kind of...
It's just such a weird place to hang up this entire...
The Republicans chose it. They chose it, though.
I don't know if you guys pick up on this. Santos and a lot of the Republicans, they know they don't have a good, like, the reflecting poll looks really bad on them because it's so obviously stupid what Trump did with that. You know, the no bid contract. It's so incredibly obvious to people that the reason the reflecting poll failed with its renovation isn't because people, you know, cut it with box cutters or whatever. It's very incredibly obvious, especially now that they drained it and you see that the bottom of the pool is like, it's not even blue. Like, I don't know what the hell they used, but whatever paint they used obviously didn't like hold up to whatever kind of chemical reactions it had with the water or whatever it may be. But he knows it makes them look really bad, and there's not really a good defense of it, which is why he's trying to frame it as like, oh, I don't even know what you guys bring. It's not even really that big of a deal. I'd rather talk about something. It's not even like a big, yeah, you're embarrassed about it. So let's stay on this point. Let's make you look bad because, like, you guys deserve it, frankly speaking.
I get it. I get it. Like, okay, so President Trump wanted to make it prettier. It didn't work out. Are we really going to spend the next year talking about the reflection pool?
Yeah. Why? Let's do it. You guys don't want to talk about it for a reason.
I think it's funny.
She said yes. Oh my God. Who was it?
It's funny because it's a clear-cut example.
Who said it? Oh, she just brown-nosed on you. You need better friends. She's just literally, oh my.
So yeah, now Santos is doing that thing that I said he was going to do, which is going to try to turn everything into like, oh, we're just having fun. It's just a meme. It's just a joke thing, because he feels uncomfortable and he knows he can't really defend these points.
God. Well, look.
I feel like we're at the part where the animal looks away from the crocodile that's approaching because they're scared. Like, you can talk to her more after the show if you want, okay?
No, it's okay.
The reflection pool is a perfect microcosm of this administration, and we can map from that on to literally, you know, his son getting $700 million no-bid contracts for the DOD, to Witkoff running around with Liberty Financial cutting deals all over the world, to the disaster that is the Iran war. I mean, we can talk about literally any of these topics. All of them are turning out the exact same way. And it's not like a mistake from one to the other, where these things are just randomly happening over and over again.
Were you just upset when Hunter Biden got the Burisma contract? I'm just asking. I'm not debating you on any of that.
Tim Pool made more in 1 year than Hunter Biden made in all of his tenure of Burisma, of which the Republicans had like 7 different committees investigate. The DOJ investigated.
But were you upset?
Wait, real quick.
I don't care about all that. I'm asking, but were you upset about that?
I'm trying to remember. What was he ever charged with?
A gun charge that I disagreed with.
Nothing.
I disagreed.
He didn't do anything wrong with Burisma.
Well, but didn't you see it as a bad sign of impropriety as the son of the vice president? Well, you're just pointing out Don Jr. and this and that, and I'm like,
yeah, nobody actually ever defends this point. I don't know why, because the reality is the Burisma thing, there was never anything actually illegal about that. Whether, you know, however you feel about nepotism, it's not illegal for somebody who has networking connections to their family or their friends or whatever to get a job because of it and then to make money off of it. And you're allowed to work as a U.S. citizen in other countries. That's also not illegal. So what was the actual claim of impropriety or fraud or illegality, right? What was the claim? The claim was what? That he was involved in some kind of corruption with his father being vice president, but there was never any actual evidence that his dad was using the U.S. government to try to corruptly help his son in this foreign country. Now, I know people say that, but even the single witness that the Republicans had that tried to claim this, that witness, in case you're not aware, that witness later on admitted in court that he lied about it. It's my understanding that he faced legal consequences for that. So there was never anything about this. There was never any illustration of actual like government corruption involving Joe Biden or the Obama administration. They just made it seem that way. Oh, look, Joe Biden, his son is over here making money in another country. Therefore, there must be something fishy going on. I mean, don't plenty of politicians and famous people have friends and family who are prominent people, sometimes working for international companies? How is that automatically indicative of some kind of corruption or fraud? You actually need to show that.
Kind of same concept, though. Were you upset? That's what I'm asking.
Just to be clear, you think that Donald Trump's child getting a no-bid record-high contract from Donald Trump's Department of Defense is the same as Hunter Biden, who I think made the majority of his Burisma money when Biden wasn't even the vice president anymore?
Yeah, notice a difference there. In the Trump's case, the Trump administration, the government that Trump is controlling, is actually giving government contracts to his own son's businesses. That never took place with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. And nobody talks about that. No one brings up that distinction.
Anymore? That's the comparison we're going with?
That's not true. He was the vice president.
For the beginning of it, but he worked up to
he got it because his dad was a vice president.
No, what do you mean? He's been on boards.
And when they say that, he's trying to make it sound like his dad as a vice president used his position, his power as vice president to get his son the job. But what actually happened is, I mean, even that's a little bit speculative, but what actually happened is that Hunter Biden is a prominent person because of his connections with his dad. And, you know, I'm the son of a vice president or whatever. And he, by himself, went around the world and tried to make business connections, try to get hired at places. But there was nothing ever showing that Joe Biden himself, as vice president, or the Obama administration was helping him do that.
He was part of the, it's like UNICEF or some health board. He had been on boards of major companies before.
That too. I've always made this point. I don't know why no one else ever brings it up. People always say like, oh, what was he doing on that company? He never had any experience. What does he know about energy policy and stuff like that, or like a energy company? But the crazy thing, and I don't know why people don't bring this up, is number one, Hunter Biden was part of a law firm. And when he was working for that law firm, one of their clients was Burisma. This is before he went to go work for Burisma. So in other words, Hunter Biden had already been working as legal representation for Burisma before he even went to go work directly for them. And number two, a lot of the legal representation that firm that he was involved in was specifically regarding energy policy. So when they say like, oh, well, Hunter Biden didn't know he doesn't know anything about energy. He doesn't know anything about an energy company. That was literally what his resume was before he worked for Burisma. But nobody brings this up.
Before he did the Burisma thing.
Because his father had influence.
Because what?
Because of his father's influence.
As a senator?
Yeah.
If you want to say that because his dad is a senator, fine. But even that statement is different than trading on his father's name.
He was trading on his father's name.
Really? Where's the proof of that? Don't say the big guy. I hope you got something more than that. The Republicans investigated this for like.
But the Republicans put years. The first guy James Comer, the worst Republican in the House. The guy's actually certifiably deaf with hearing aids. That's who we chose to investigate Biden. That's why it fell apart, because we put an idiot to do it.
Oh my God! It's like
just like what they were talking about earlier. Like their election fraud cases never worked out because they didn't have good lawyers to represent them. Now it's another excuse. Oh well, you know, the Republican we had in charge of the investigation was they just weren't incompetent at their job. It sounds like you guys are all kind of incompetent and you guys are just full of excuses. That's what it sounds like to me.
Like the argument from 5 minutes ago just reverberated from the back of the thing. It's all bad lawyers. It's all bad investigators. It's all bad. What does that say about the thing?
I was there when we were investigating it, and I saw how bad they were. They had
there's a reason why. At some point. Certainly you might.
By the way, I mean, there's another angle of attack here. You were there when you guys were investigating? Well, wait a second. If you're saying that everybody else in the Republican Party who was involved in this, like, the reason you guys weren't able to really prove anything is because they were incompetent. Well, you were also there. So what does that mean that you were also too incompetent to do anything about it either?
You must understand all of this incompetence pursuing these things. Perhaps it's not the incompetence. Perhaps the things that are being pursued lend themselves.
I mean, it's probably both. The incompetence of the right probably also translates to their inability to actually like know what true versus bullshit is. And so cases like this, or like the Hunter Biden thing, I mean, I'm probably giving them too much charitability, because the reality is that a lot of them probably know it's bullshit, but they knew that they could spin it politically. But it might also be that they're just actually too dumb to know when they're falling for bullshit.
Towards incompetent people, maybe, possibly.
Oh yeah, because there's no incompetence in the Democrat Party, right?
Show me anything. Do you want to compare the Jack Smith indictments to any of the indictments?
And notice, that's not actually a defense against the point that Destiny's making. Destiny's making the point like, well, maybe your guys' party's full of incompetent people. He doesn't even deny that. He just tries to deflect away from it. Oh, okay, well, you guys are also incompetent. I mean, I think you're just saying that, by the way, but like, you're not really defending the point that I made about you guys. You're not able to actually prove that you guys aren't incompetent.
From Bondi? Are we serious right now?
No, Bondi, I'm not going to talk about Bondi. That's low hanging fruit. I don't do that.
Okay, that was our Attorney General of the United States of America.
In other words, like, you can't really defend anything from your party, any of the people involved. They're all incompetent. They're all bad. They all happen to be. Oh, everybody in your party happens to be like incompetent person. Like, well, what does that say about you guys in your party?
I'm very aware.
Okay, yeah. I think it says something about our DNA that she was headed by a person that you think it's like punching down to even speak about them. So, but okay. What?
Really?
Yeah, she's a fucking retard. What? What do you want me to say? She came from Florida. Okay, so what do you want me to say? Jeez, they breed them. Just kidding. Sorry. I live in Florida now. I can say that. So.
Oh, is that true?
I mean, at this point here, you can see like Santos looks bad. He looks like he's losing the argument. I've already watched this, so I'm going to tell you, Destiny does not ease up on him at this point, and we shouldn't. There's no reason why we should. These people want to fucking destroy your country. They want to subjugate you. They want to take away your rights and representation. Why the fuck should we be soft on them? When we're destroying them rhetorically in debate, just keep going. Bury them 6 feet underground. Bury them 12 feet underground. In Minecraft, okay? In a game, rhetorically, all right? I'm not talking physically. I feel like I gotta caveat that sometimes. I don't want anybody like coming after me like, oh, you're making threatening accusations or whatever. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, figuratively speaking, bury them rhetorically. There's no reason not to.
Is that true? No, seriously.
What?
Look.
We could try to move on to your point.
It's so exhausted because this is the same talking point I'm sorry to the audience, and I'm sorry to people at home, because I think this conversation's been had with other people, just plug and play, whoever it is, and we have the same conversations on a circulating.
Because the Republicans keep lying about it, yes.
But you guys only complain.
Because you guys won't acknowledge what's happening, and now we're here.
You guys wouldn't acknowledge weekends at Bernie's for 4 years.
Acknowledge what?
Literally, the White House was weekend at Bernie's for 4 years.
What is that?
It was checked out, and AutoPen was running the country. There's a whole portrait on the White House. It must be true. It's hanging in the White House.
Didn't they drop that?
Oh, guys, we're just joking. We're just having fun here. Remember what I said earlier? Like, he's gonna hedge on, that almost. It's almost like plausible deniability. You're like hedging on. Oh, I'm just joking. I'm just having fun and everything. So that like, even when you're making statements that are untrue or exaggeratory or that you can't defend, you have that little wiggle room where you can always bail yourself out by pretending that you're just joking.
AutoPen investigation?
Oh,
they did, didn't they?
No,
because
they did.
Because you know why?
Ongoing.
It's not. Because they made it up. You know there's no evidence for the AutoPen thing, right? Hold on. Are you even willing to admit that? There's zero evidence that Biden AutoPenned a single thing?
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, no, you're serious now. I'm actually shocked. You're saying that with a straight face.
That same tactic you used earlier, which is to try to bluff the other person, right? Wait, you're serious? And he's hoping that the other person, that triggers a little bit of doubt in the other person. And the other person goes, well, wait a second, maybe they know something I don't know. But Destiny instead just goes, yeah, I am serious. I'm calling your bluff. What do you got? And Santos doesn't have anything. You're going to see that right now.
Come on, Stephen. You're better than this. You're going to say that.
Not only was there no evidence for it, do you think right now that we are getting the full truth about Trump's health?
I have no reason not to believe so.
Why would Trump brag about getting 3 good MRIs, like in a row?
Oh, girls gotta get an MRI to make sure everything's in check.
Why is it that the?
Oh, we're having fun. We're joking. By the way, and I mean, Santos says this point. What's wrong with MRI? And this is the point that I want to make here. The question is, why are you having MRIs done? Because MRIs are not normal procedures that you have. You don't just randomly get MRIs as a checkup. You're going to have MRIs because you have some kind of serious medical complication that's going on or some serious issue that the doctors are trying to observe. The fact that you're having 3 MRIs is indicative of some kind of serious medical concern that's going on that you're not telling the public about.
MRI now. Are we anti-MRIs too?
Why? Well, half the Republicans seem to be these days. They don't believe in
I thought you
vaccines
were the
anymore.
party
so
of healthcare. Like, oh my God, let the guy have MRIs. You people
So they're
are
lying about
awful.
Trump's health.
Jesus.
You know they're lying about Trump's
Oh
health.
my God, we're
You know they're lying
universal
about Trump's
health care.
health.
The president gets 3 MRIs. Why did he get 3 MRIs? Like, are you serious now? Is that your big issue?
Yeah, why?
About his health.
Why did he get 3
He's
MRIs?
alive. And like, look, questionable about McConnell. If we're going to talk about McConnell, we don't even know if he's alive.
Oh, let's shift topic to somebody else now, because I feel uncomfortable.
Donald Trump, so what, Nicki Minaj is part of the government now? What did they say? The Islamic Republic Republic of Japan.
Keep Nikki's name out your mouth.
We had Putin instead of Zelensky. Donald Trump is making gaffes every single day, and nobody has anything to say about any of this.
After
Santos is just trying to diffuse. I mean, he's just on a slide. He's on a slippery slope towards just looking worse and worse in this debate. And he's trying to diffuse that by like, oh, we're just having fun. We're joking. We're being sarcastic. Destiny's not taking the bait here. He's just going in more. Okay, cool. If you want to joke around and everything, I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to illustrate all of the reasons why your party's bad. And you can keep joking in the corner, but it's just going to make you and your party look bad because you're not going to have anything to say as a response.
for Nikki randomly.
Because Donald Trump brought up her name on accident. He misspoke. That's what I'm bringing.
She's amazing. That's why.
You're not even aware. Oh, this is the Republican tactic. I didn't hear about that. I didn't hear about this thing. I didn't hear about that.
I have been a barb much longer than she became open.
I didn't hear about that. I'm just saying there's more evidence for Trump being senile than there ever was for Biden.
That is so not true.
Really?
True to the dimensionary. What the hell does that mean?
True to the what?
Well, but I don't know. That's literally what Joe Biden
brought up.
said.
So you brought up the.
Define that word.
That he missed.
Again, I said this at the beginning. I don't make this point. I don't like making this point. I don't like when liberals try to make this point. Even if you want to say like, even if you think that Donald Trump is more senile than Joe Biden was, okay? Even if I were to grant you that, you're not going to convince the general public that that's the case. So why waste your political capital trying to make that point? To most people, visibly, Trump looks like he has more vitality. He looks like he's able to string sentences together easier. It's a massive uphill battle to try to convince people that it's the other way around. So, like, why even try it? Just go somewhere else. Focus on other things that are more salient, that have more of an impact than trying to make this point. It's a losing battle.
He misspoke a lot.
Donald Trump misword us.
And that's the real point to make, right? Which is, even if you want to say Biden was more senile, at the end of the day, Biden was running a more mature, more competent, less insane government than Trump is. At the end of the day, like, I would rather have someone who was technically senile, who isn't sliding our country off of the fucking tracks, than someone who is quote unquote not senile, but they're insane, they're authoritarian, they're destroying our relationships abroad, they're like ballooning our debt through the roof, they're violating people's rights. That, honestly, that's a no-brainer, and that's an easier point to make than trying to convince people that, Joe Biden was less senile than Trump was. You don't even have to make that point. You can just sidestep it and make the point that where the rubber meets the road, Donald Trump is doing crazier things. Whether or not you want to say he's more senile, it doesn't matter. He's doing worse things.
I mean, what do you want the comparison to be between? If Biden was senile, if Biden was senile, I will take Biden senile to whatever Trump is right now, because whatever you call this is not working. I have never seen. Here's the thing.
If Russia incurs 1 inch to Ukraine, they'll be held to pay. It's been 4 years. Almost 5.
Oh, yeah? And what was the day zero? I'm going to have a peace deal with Russia. I'm going to have a peace deal with Hamas. I'm going to have no new wars. Do we want to compare foreign policy records between Biden and Trump? We could do that if you want. It's not on the list, but
you're talking about cognitive decline. I'm talking about cognitive decline. You want to pivot. We can pivot.
I'm talking about cognitive decline. You're talking about an old guy who's slow.
No, we were literally just talking about cognitive decline, and then you pivoted to foreign policy. We can pivot, but let's finish cognitive decline first, and then we can pivot to foreign policy.
Donald Trump had executive orders explained to him when they were handed to him for him to sign. He didn't seem to have any idea.
Every single president has that.
Oh, that's crazy, because when I Googled that, because I was curious if that was true, and Biden seemed to explain his before he went and signed it.
That is not true. If you see the first 21 executive orders that Joe Biden signed the day he was sworn in, every single one of them, it's on video, was handed to him. Mr. President, this one is now the executive order on, and then blah, 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 blah. okay, and signs.
Every single executive order that Trump was given,
one.
somebody, he
Same
looks,
thing with Biden,
and
and same
it's
thing
not
with
true.
Obama.
People at home can go and look it up. I've looked it up before our stream. We watched them where Biden will explain an executive order, because I had the same question. Is it normal that some fucking weirdo is explaining to you your own executive order while you're sitting there looking like a lizard with a fucking throat vagina, like trying to figure out what you're even supposed to sign? Like, it's not normal. I'm sorry. Nothing about the Trump admin is normal with regards to this.
You can say all those mean things. He's still your president.
I will, for now.
He's still your president.
Vance has got his eyes on that. Vance has got his eyes on that.
And he was your president twice, baby.
Well, maybe. Well, a lot of Trump's believe 3 times.
Girl,
So,
stop.
you know.
Nah.
You know, who knows?
We saw with Democrats and we don't want to do that again.
With
right? There's a reason we have term limits is thanks to Democrats overstaying.
Sure. Well, winning elections, right?
Oh, winning elections, yeah.
Well, winning elections, right?
Sure.
They're talking about FDR, right? The rule for presidential term limits did not exist before FDR. FDR was like the most prominent progressive president in U.S. history. I love talking about him, by the way. He's like my favorite president. Served during World War II, not in the military, served as president during World War II and the Great Depression, and was a progressive president. His administration saw the U.S. become a global superpower, military superpower, economic superpower, the global hegemony of the world, the U.S. pulling itself out of the Great Depression, the U.S. Fighting World War II and defeating the Nazis, all of those things. And the American people voted for him 4 times. To bring that up is like a bad thing. Like, bro, you're making the point for me that when you allow Democratic presidents to do their thing, they blow you guys out of the fucking water to the point where you have to pass new presidential term limits because you're getting your shit pushed in so hard.
Wait, can I get you on the record right now? It won't happen because I'm going to survive the whole term. If Trump were to run again, you would like completely disavow that, right? You'd say this is absolutely not okay.
I've already did that.
Oh, what did what?
I said I don't think there should be more than 2 terms. He's already served his 2 terms, I love that.
I said you would disavow it. You would say Trump should
I already
not.
said
if he runs a 3rd term, I don't support him.
I said he should not.
If they run a...
There's a little bit of weasel word in there, right? He shouldn't, but if he did, would you defend him for it? Because I guarantee this is probably what would happen if he did. You know, in 2026, I said that he shouldn't, but, you know, now it's between him and AOC, and so I got to grit my teeth and support the Republican candidate. You know, I wish it was somebody else, but, you know, I have to support the Republican because I prefer the Republican. Just because you say, I don't think they should, that's not really as strong like I would not support them. That's not the same thing.
Disabled, trans, black, non-binary woman as the Democrat, and Trump runs again, I would vote for the disabled, trans, non-binary Democrat in the wheelchair.
I would not vote. I mean, why is the option so... I just wouldn't vote.
Okay, close enough, I guess.
I wouldn't vote. Why? Right? Like, Destiny was kind of joking around there. Like, you picked the most, like, woke identity politics candidate, right? Trans, black, in a wheelchair. And then Santos is like, well, I wouldn't vote between the 2 people. Like, why? Just because the other person's trans and they're black and they're in a wheelchair? Like, that's the reason you wouldn't vote for them? It's weird.
Have you ever seen anything, if you had to choose an action comparable to a president going on social media and announcing who he wants indicted and announcing the attorney that he wants to indict them, what is the comparable behavior here on the Democrat side?
Joe Biden weaponized his entire Justice Department to go after Trump for 4 years.
Okay, so I didn't hear anything specific?
Melania Trump's panty drawer was tossed at Mar-a-Lago. It's a fact. It's in the search
in there.
Panties.
Okay, so...
Thongs.
So,
I get it. It's hard.
No. I read all those indictments, so I'm glad to go through all of them.
No, not the indictment. The affidavit of the search warrant.
I'm glad to go through.
Specific.
That's fine. Trump hides shit fucking everywhere, so they should toss whatever the fuck. He had over a year to turn those documents back. Maybe the president of the United States shouldn't be hoarding top secret.
Joe Biden hoarded secrets in his garage.
What happened when Biden found them?
He gave them in.
What happened when Trump found his? He's ordered his employees to hide them from his own attorneys. It's in the indictment. I know. It sucks because like you have to actually read through those indictments. They're not like 2 pages like the stupid SPLC bullshit indictments that the barely literate people in the DOJ right now like to put out. But like, yeah, he was hiding documents all over Mar-a-Lago. We have pictures of them. We have pictures of the documents scattered all over the floor.
There is I think it's very messed up to say that there are highly competent individuals in the DOJ. Jay Clayton is a very respected attorney. Todd Blanche is a very respected attorney. So much so they
Todd Blanche.
Most of them were confirmed with Democrat votes. So that
Blanche?
I think Blanche is a very competent attorney. Yes.
Whatever he's been reduced to work under Trump is not...
Oh, come on. Just because he works for Trump now, he's bad.
Well, I mean,
if RBG were alive and worked for Trump, you'd say she's bad.
That's the Supreme Court
but that's the standard. That's
hold on.
your standard.
Just to be clear, do you think a Supreme Court justice serves at the pleasure of a? Do you think we?
No. I gave an example. If she
you
were
gave
alive,
a bad example.
Okay.
The Supreme Court doesn't work for the president of the United States like an officer of the.
I didn't use her in her capacity as Supreme Court justice.
Oh, so if she was like the attorney,
yeah, if she was the attorney general,
then I would also say she's being bad. If she was working for Trump in the second term, yes. God bless her.
That's your standard. It's just work for Trump.
That if you work for somebody who's asking you to do basically authoritarian things and you're carrying out that mission.
So Biden. So real quick, you do not think Biden weaponized the Justice
Not
Department?
even close
At all.
You're absolutely dead in
Zero.
the water on that. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Here's a simple.
Santos is going to try to get him to concede on any little nitpick that he can. And Destiny is doing the good thing here of, again, you should always pick your battles. You shouldn't defend positions that are kind of stupid. But you also shouldn't concede stuff just for the sake of conceding because the other person, like, because you feel bad for the other person. Like, no, I disagree with you. I don't have to agree with you on that.
Question.
I know Gavin Newsom right now feels different.
Easiest question in the world. What is one piece of evidence of coordination between Biden and Garland?
Gavin Newsom.
So nothing.
Gavin Newsom, get him out of the way because he's a threat and I want to run a second term. Wiretap his staff. Go investigate him. This all started under Biden's administration. Right
I
here
said, what is evidence of?
That's the evidence
between Biden and Garland.
Biden asking Garland to take out his biggest
as
political
reported by
threat.
whom? This never happened.
Steven.
Come on.
Come on, Steven. You're not going to let me get away with just saying random shit that I don't have any evidence for in order to spin a narrative about the other political party and to make up stuff about people and like, you basically slander people. Come on, you're not going to let me do that. And by the way, he feels entitled to even say something like that because they're so used to it. They're so used to the liberal media, the mainstream media, other people in politics in general, allowing them to just kind of get away with shit like, oh, I'm going to overlook that. I'm going to overlook this thing. No, why should I let you get away with that? You don't have any evidence for that. You're making stuff up. You're using it in order to try to spin a narrative to the American people to characterize the Democratic Party as bad. Why the fuck should I give that to you? I'm not going to give that to you.
No, this didn't happen. We live in an alternate reality.
I don't live in an alternate reality. I'm actually one of the more pragmatic people you can talk to. And you know that for a fact.
Just to be clear, you're delusional, okay?
I'm not.
Biden had multiple, his own son was investigated under his administration. He had a special counsel appointed
then he
to
said he would
investigate
pardon him.
Which, after the Republicans basically fabricated two charges that nobody has ever really been charged with before.
Oh, I agree. The gun charges were bullshit.
Sure.
I still agree to this day.
And the IRS charge for taxes he already paid.
I don't even like the pardon power, but isn't that why the pardon power exists? If the president needs to make a decision that, hey, this particular crime that this person was charged for wasn't really like a fair application of the law, even if it's like technically the letter of the law, isn't that what the pardon is actually supposed to exist for? So not only does George Santos admit that the charge was like a ridiculous charge, isn't that what a pardon's for? Not only that, but in case you're not aware, there was a court case, I think it was a Supreme Court case recently, that overturned like that same very crime that Hunter Biden was charged for. So like the Supreme Court now, and nobody, like I don't hear any Republicans challenging this point either, basically determined that that's not even like a legitimate law to even enforce in the first place. Well, isn't that what a pardon's for?
He'd already paid off. After Hunter had already agreed to an immunity thing that they ended up tossing because they did a huge runaround. By the way, these were indictments that we were supposed to have that were relating to his Burisma affair, which, by the way, that whole thing started because the initial confidential informant lied.
Yeah, it's like the definition of a hunting expedition, right? Which is they tried to get him on this Burisma thing, even though from the onset they never really had any actual crime. You know, you can go back and watch the video from earlier. I talked about this. But then they wind up coming out with like a minor charge on, lying about smoking weed when you applied for a gun permit. So you go in investigating him for some larger crime that you're trying to accuse him for, even though you didn't have any evidence for it. And then you just try to find any little random thing that you can charge him for anyways? Is that the kind of country you want to live in, where if you don't like someone, you just start looking for any little thing that you could get them on?
lied. And he was arrested and put in prison because he lied to the FBI about it. That's why nothing ever came from Burisma, because all of it was bullshit, literally from the very beginning. From the very beginning of the weirdo that dropped the laptop off at the blind crazy dude's fucking store, to all of the investigations into Hunter Biden that continued under Biden's own presidency. They continued under Biden's own presidency.
He had no option.
What do you mean he had no option? I'm sorry, what did Donald Trump...
Was he going to tell...
He could do what Donald Trump does and fire everybody that doesn't agree.
Was he going to tell...
Couldn't he do what Donald Trump does and fire every single person that doesn't do exactly what he wants, like he did with Comey, right?
Just like he did with the prosecutor in Ukraine. That's right. He fires prosecutors. I forgot about that.
What?
He holds foreign aid hostage.
What are we talking? Yeah, he did do that.
Biden
Trump
did that. No, Biden
did that as part of the agreement that Europe and the United States had for loan guarantees to Ukraine. The loan guarantees to Ukraine were contingent upon them cleaning up parts of their system, because all of Europe... Why do you think Biden could say that so openly on...
The problem is, like, some of these points Santos keeps throwing out, like, these have been long debunked. But the problem with this is Republicans build up this entire fabricated worldview for voters. And you might think it's okay for them to get away with, oh, these like little lies here and there. Again, always choose your battles. But you also have to consider that these small little lies that they make, they start to add up. They start to pile up. And they use those pieces, like puzzle pieces, to construct a new reality for the electorate to vote on. And so it's like not okay to just allow them year over year over year over year to just keep repeating the same lies and not being challenged on it. Joe Biden, when he was vice president, and he told the Ukrainian government, like, hey, we're going to freeze these funds unless you guys fire this corrupt prosecutor. That had nothing to do with Hunter Biden. That had to do with the prosecutor in Ukraine being part of the corruption. They were one of the corrupt individuals in the government at the time. And not only did the other members of the European Union, who are our allies, who are also kind of part of these negotiations and deals, not only were they calling for that prosecutor to be fired, right? Nothing to do with Hunter Biden. All the other governments were also saying this too. But there were actually letters signed by members of Congress on the Republican side at the time that were saying the same thing, and they were supporting that policy. That policy was not a policy that Joe Biden himself decided for himself that he wanted to do to help his son out. That was the official policy of the United States government in conjunction with all of our allies who were also, privy to these arrangements that we were making with Ukraine. Had nothing to do with Hunter Biden. But that contextualization has been completely lost from the conversation around it, because they just keep repeating, oh, it's Hunter Biden had something to do with Hunter Biden this entire time. And the media and other people, they allow that narrative to get spun without talking about what I just talked about right now.
And nobody questioned it at the time. This is Republicans desperately trying to salvage some amount of moral high ground out of fictitious events that never happened the way you guys think they did. You guys will look at look, Biden is admitting all of it right here.
Oh my God, you're spicy today.
Well, because you're lying about everything.
No, I'm not.
Everything. You are. All of these things are lies.
You just have TDS so bad. You can
call it whatever you want.
You can't find one good thing. Okay, bite me. I don't care. You can't find one good thing that this president does. Everything's bad.
I'm actually quite happy.
I don't have to. You know what I mean? I think this person's a bad person. I'm not going to sit there and make excuses for him and downplay him for you. That's your job. You're allowed to do that if you want to. I'm not going to play that game with you. I don't have to.
You're like a broken record.
What?
You're like a broken record. Calm down.
He's a horrible president.
Calm down. Shh. Breathe. Okay, good. He's trying to laugh. He can't do it.
I'm not, because it's not funny. It's fucked up. It's crazy.
It's not fucked up.
It is. It's super
so mad. Oh my God.
I am mad because
you can't live like this. It's gonna give you wrinkles.
I agree. We can't live like this. It's not good.
Not enough Botox in the world to fix it. Stop.
We're probably mass producing it now, because every single person that passes by the Trump administration has to fill their fucking face with enough to float into the clouds.
Thank God. Thank God for that. I mean, that is a one positive. Looks maxing.
Is that looks maxing? I thought it was Jigsaw maxing.
Okay,
I feel like in a fucking horror movie every time I turn the TV on.
That was a very low energy clap. Nobody followed you. Try again. There you go. Come on, guys. Help him out. There you go. You're welcome.
There it is again. This past minute or so is just George Santos trying to diffuse, because he doesn't have a good position to defend here of oh, we're just joking. We're just memeing. We're just being sarcastic.
You're welcome.
Do you think that Donald Trump...
Low energy claps don't get the crowd going.
Do you think Donald Trump would allow a special prosecutor to investigate him in his own term?
I'm sorry.
Do you think Donald Trump would allow? Do you think right now?
I'm sorry. I was laughing at the low energy clap. Look at her hair. It is. It's amazing.
And Destiny's not biting. He's basically showing that he's not even impressed, and he's just going to continue on with the points that he's making.
It is. Do you think that?
Beautiful.
Do you think that Donald Trump would allow a special prosecutor under his own term right now
For what?
to investigate him?
Sure. Didn't we do this before with Mueller?
What happened with Mueller?
It was nothing but
Mueller was only appointed because he fired Comey because he was trying to obstruct his investigation, and he begged Sessions, please, not a special prosecutor. And then Mueller came about because he didn't know at that point that he had to have iron control over every single person that he appointed. That's why Barr even ended up ditching him because of how crazy Trump was. That's why I said this term, because this term he realizes that he needs more jigsaws like Bondi or Blanche and not actual conservatives like Barr. For as much as you might hate him, at least
you're gonna lose a lot of support in the liberal housewives market. I'm just saying. Do not do that. That's not gonna work. There's a lot of liberals who love the Real Housewives, and you're like making attacks like that. I'm just letting you know.
Are there though? Are there really? I don't really feel like anybody cares about that stuff.
Oh, just take it easy. Stop calling everybody jigsaw. That's not nice. Lisa Reed doesn't
They're weird. The look is inappropriate.
Just be careful.
Can you imagine Trump supporters talking about don't say things because they're mean? We're way past that now at this point.
The positions they hold. There are times and places and
I
ways
warn
you
you,
to present
and
yourself.
if I see a news article of Lisa Arena coming after you, I will pray for you. I promise.
Okay.
I will. I'll pray for you.
Okay. I'm more
You're
concerned
so
with like
adorable.
Kristi Noem like lying about U.S. citizens being murdered by feds, and
come
then
on. Okay.
I feel like that's kind of more of an issue, but
Yeah, sure.
yeah, it is.
No, I mean,
So-
you're okay with Alejandro Mayorkas letting 30 million people or whatever the number is in the country, right?
We don't even know because you know what? 'Cause that's a fucking lie.
I mean,
right? You don't know because it's a lie. You have no idea, right?
I was in a house toward facilities, literally CBP leadership were like, sir, they say it was 5,000, but we processed 15, but we say that the number's 5,000, literally coming from CBP officers.
The Cato Institute of people who study this, I think it's like 4 million or something.
4 million. You think that's not a lot of people?
In case you're not aware of this too, by the way, I mean, Trump and the Republicans have been just throwing random numbers out for their years now. And the Cato Institute, their number is like 3 or 4 million illegal immigrants in the country. And I don't remember actually if that's illegal immigrants specifically or if it was just immigrants. I want to say it's illegal, right? But like, think about that for a minute. Republicans are saying just wild numbers like 30 million. Why is it okay for them to lie in that magnitude and for the media to just allow them to spin that lie to the American people? That's a crazy, insane lie. That's not even a small lie. That's not even a white lie. That's a massive lie.
I shouldn't be here.
I think it's not 30 million, and if you have to lie that much about it, it makes me wonder if the 4 million matter.
I'm going to make it very clear. 4, 30, 10, 100,000. These are people who literally came in here, and the majority, I'm not saying all of them, but the majority of them, we don't even know who they are. We didn't vet them. We didn't process them accordingly.
Really?
The majority, no.
That's crazy. Millions came in, and the only fucking name I hear is...
I don't even know if that's true, actually, because my understanding, the majority overstay their visas. So they would have been like screened prior to entering the country. They just overstay what their visa was supposed to allow them to. Not to say that there are, obviously there are some that come over who are not screened, but it's my understanding, I think that the majority, it's the other way around. They are screened, but they just overstay.
Is Lincoln Riley over and over and over again. Where are all of the murders and all of the arsons and all of the actual dog eating?
Jocelyn Nungaray.
You got me. There were 2 names. You remember the second one. Good job. Your claim is bullshit, and you know that. That millions of people all came in here. They're all criminals.
I'm not saying they're all criminals. I didn't say that.
Sure.
I'm just saying we don't know who they are.
Sure. And you know
that
what?
should be concerning.
Oh, should it be? Then maybe the Republicans should do something about immigration, about border legislation, about anything. Instead, what do we do?
There's great legislation right now being championed in Congress. It's bipartisan, the Dignity Act by Salazar and whatever the
that's crazy. The only thing I ever hear Trump talk about is how to rig the next election and get the USPS to try to do whatever.
It's not true.
Really?
You do.
And the SAVE Act and okay.
Oh my God.
I feel like that's what I hear more.
You need to come hang out. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, have you heard Donald Trump talk about this quote unquote, I mean, I'm sure this legislation's out there, but have you heard him talk about it? Have you heard any Republicans talk about it? Have you heard Fox News talk about it? No. Because they don't want to actually legislate the problem. They just want the president to act like a dictator and just send the secret police out to just brutalize people. So, like, of course, we're not talking about any actual legislation to solve the immigration issue. Because they don't care about legislation. They don't care about the consent of the governed. They don't care about the representative aspect of our country. It's just, here's our leader, our president that we put in there. He's just going to rule like a dictator now. We don't need the legislature. We don't need the courts. We just have a dictator now.
You know what? You need to touch grass. Come to the Poconos. I promise you.
Yeah.
You will.
Oh, we're joking. We're having fun. Being sarcastic.
Read and look for a McConnell-sized body bag being shipped out the back right now is what I would rather look. I'd be more interested in. I want to be the first one reporting on it.
Can I come with you? Can I come with you for that one? That might be an interesting.
Find whatever room they hit him and Jordan Peterson in and see what's going on with that. But. There has been nothing on the Democrat side. You said all of the Merrick Garland stuff comparable to Donald Trump tweeting out, Lindsey Halligan needs to go after these 3 people. Do you think the Comey indictment is fair? The 8647 thing? That's indictable behavior.
Yes.
So was it Matt Gaetz and Jack Posobiec who sold the 8647? I'm right here.
No.
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
I know. For the Republicans
he wants to debate me.
For the Republicans that sold the 8646 shirts or whatever, do you think they should all be indicted too?
No.
I don't even know why I'm asking this. What's the difference in your mind?
James Comey was the former director of the FBI. That's the big difference.
So he has less freedom of speech rights?
No, his words matter more than others. Stop.
His words matter more than other. But Donald Trump, when he tweets things like, I'm going to end a civilization tonight or any of that, those words don't matter. That's all just a meme.
Are we talking about the Iran war now?
Well,
I mean, because you change subjects, you pivot so much. I feel like, are you running for office?
Sorry, let's keep
my God.
let's keep in the same topic. So words matter, talking about killing people and everything else. For Donald Trump, when he says that 6 members of Congress should be executed for treason, is that responsible speech?
Did he say that they should be executed, or was... Who said that? Who said that? Oh.
All right. I appreciate it. We got to focus here, though, okay? The audience is going to talk to you soon. I promise,
yeah,
okay?
I love this. I love this. They're great. He hates me.
We're joking. We're having fun.
First of all, on its own, doesn't rise to any level of incite to violence or threatening behavior or anything. That's absurd. You should know this, number one. And number two, if any world where we're going to interpret tweets as being threatening or whatever else, the President of the United States saying that we should execute members of Congress for treason has got to be up there. It's hard.
I'm not going silent. I never shut up. It's just like I have to comprehend, because you will twist everything on its head. It's like so fucking hard with you.
He has to comprehend. No, he's trying to figure out how he's going to spin it to try to pretend that he doesn't have a massive contradiction and bias in terms of how he lets Republicans get away with stuff that he doesn't want Democrats to be able to, get away with or whatever. That's the reality. And he's sitting there because he can't actually think of a way to salvage that contradiction.
Wow.
Okay, a picture, seashells, 8647 is criminal conduct, incitement to violence? That's what you're charging for.
Put it in context. The former director of the FBI who served, 8 years, if I'm not mistaken?
Sure, yeah. Before he was fired by Trump because he was trying to obstruct an investigation into his own campaign and everything for colluding with Russia, which they did. Yeah.
Director of the FBI serves at the pleasure of the president. Sure. You can appoint and fire them. So according
to the Supreme Court now, for any reason, yeah, correct, yeah.
So is there anything wrong with that termination?
Well, if
he's an at-will employee of the United States government, the president chose to fire him. Everybody creates innuendos as to it was because of this. He fired him. Do you have proof? Can you materialize proof? Why wasn't he prosecuted for it then?
Well, Mueller said why he wasn't. It was
what happened to the Mueller report? Why was it a nothing burger?
Because
Why
Mueller
didn't it go anywhere?
Do you know?
Why did it go nowhere? Please tell me.
Do you want me to?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
What I don't get is like these kind of talking points that Santos is using. These work for like uninformed random people that you're debating against, but everybody has to know now at this point that like Destiny's pretty well, whether you like him or you hate him, he's pretty well like versed on all these topics. And so if you try to bring up like this half lie of like what do you say? The Mueller investigation didn't lead anywhere. You have to know that Destiny read the Mueller investigation and knows like the whole context of that. Why wasn't he indicted for anything? Because the DOJ had a policy that they could indict a sitting president. That was like explicitly stated. And because the Mueller investigation was stymied by the Trump administration in multiple ways throughout the investigation, and those ways were talked about in the Mueller report.
Cutting me off.
I'm sorry, forgive me.
Mueller didn't believe that a sitting president could be indicted and prosecuted by his own Department of Justice. Mueller said repeatedly through his report, if you read it, all 320 whatever pages of it, that there was obstruction, that Donald Trump was firing Comey because he was trying to obstruct his own investigation. Even you know that, because Trump's stated reason for firing Comey was because he felt like he shouldn't have made a public announcement about Hillary's emails, which makes no sense, because why wouldn't he just fire him the day that he came in? So we know that Trump fired Comey because of the investigation. Then Comey's contemporaneous notes say that. It's obvious that that's what happened, and that's what Mueller agreed with his conclusion. And Mueller couldn't recommend charges because every part of it was obstructed. And you can't recommend obstruction to the DOJ when the DOJ is not going to investigate a sitting president because the sitting president's DOJ.
Okay.
What's your next question?
No. After the fact, then.
Do you disagree with anything I just said?
After the fact, no, I don't disagree.
Okay,
I saw the report.
Okay. Do you agree that he fired Comey to obstruct the investigation?
Oh, I don't disagree. I saw the report. Well, then why did you not, like, why did you pretend you didn't know that? Why didn't you mention that? relevant information that recontextualizes what you were trying to say, right? We all know the answer, obviously. It's because he's trying to be manipulative with what he's not telling you.
I don't believe that that's a.
Why do you think he fired Comey?
Because he serves at the pleasure of the president.
Why do you think?
Whatever reason Trump put out there, I have no reason to believe otherwise.
You have no theory of mind.
I have no reason to go turn everything.
You have
into
no
something.
idea, no concept of why Trump might have done a thing.
Sorry.
You understand that that's ridiculous.
Stop talking to her. Talk to me. Why are you
You're
bringing her
appealing
into
to her.
this?
I'm just saying, it's like you can't even get. I don't know why. I know that Biden was senile 100%, and the auto pen for sure definitely was a thing, even though there's no proof of it whatsoever. And the Trump White House, who took all their time to hang up these stupid fucking pictures of it, dropped their own investigation into it, just like they dropped their investigation into voter fraud every time they come into office and they found nothing, right? But there's a pattern there, crazy, huh? I'm just saying that. You can't even guess why you think Comey was fired by Trump.
Not saying,
but you seem to know that Biden, with no evidence, was colluding with Garland to stop Newsom from running.
I don't have to guess. I'm just. Honestly speaking, for me, I think you dip way deeper into politics than I do, and that's surprising. No.
That's probably definitely true.
You dip way deeper because I look at whatever people.
But hey, you wanted to be here. You wanted to represent. You wanted to defend that position. So, you put your ass on the chopping block. I don't feel bad for you. Light his ass on fire.
People put out there, and I'm like, whatever. I'll take it at face value. I don't go investigate and turn anything into like a.
Well, maybe you should. If you want to debate the position, if you want to defend it and everything, then maybe you should. I don't feel bad for you.
I'm just taking the Mueller report at face value.
Huh?
I'm just taking the Mueller report at face value. You're taking what they say on Fox News
And
at
I
face
just
value. That's the
said,
difference.
okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Mueller report at face value. Why did Biden, when he came in, not do good on the Mueller report? It was still within statute.
What do you mean not do good on the
Why
Mueller report?
didn't Garland go and say, all right, he's no longer a former president? Why didn't they prosecute him on that? Because it was a nothing burger.
Because Democrats, every single time Republicans push us to the brink of oblivion, Democrats decide, well, we need to bring it back to a more reasonable.
I mean, there is an element of that too, but it's also probably because they were focused on the insurrection and the stolen documents case. Those were probably had a lot more evidence for them. Those were more promising looking cases. That's probably more so the reason why more than anything else.
Place.
That's
why when you say, oh, you know that Biden was controlling the DOJ, you say that, and every liberal shrieks inside because we did want to see an aggressive DOJ, and we didn't. We got Garland, who slow-walked those indictments, who slow-walked everything for the J6 for like 2 years before we got. Trump had like 9 months with the Department of Records, with NARA or whatever, before they finally recommended to the FBI that they should investigate, because Trump was digging around all day with the classified documents and everything. It took so long for anything to come out that by the time we finally kind of got the ball rolling on things, well, looks like Trump won the next election, and now all of it's gone and dismissed. To say that was an aggressive DOJ...
You don't think that was an aggressive DOJ?
Absolutely not.
In so many ways, it did unprecedented things.
Because we had an unprecedented monster in the White House. What do you mean? What a stupid statement.
Biden, yes, he was an unprecedented monster in the White House.
Biden compared to Trump?
I mean, you just said it. I didn't say it. You literally just said it. I said it was an aggressive DOJ.
Trump
it did
was in the White House.
But
that DOJ was responding to Trump's crimes, correct. And it was unprecedented. That's right. Past presidents had the humility to assume that they couldn't openly commit crimes. That's why Nixon accepted the pardon from Ford. And that's why Ford felt like he had to pardon Nixon. It's because Nixon thought he was going to be convicted of a crime. Because that's usually how people operate. Trump thinks he's above the law. And now the Supreme Court has basically said as much. You get
Destiny is making a lot of affirmative attacks on Trump and the Republican Party. I feel like oftentimes, not only do I see liberals in debate take the defensive position, take the position of asking the other person questions, questions to probe the other person's consistency, which you should do, by the way. But a lot of times I see that there's a failure to control the narrative, control the flow, take the initiative, make the point, make the affirmative claims, characterize them, put forth a narrative. And he's doing that here consistently.
At least acknowledge it.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Really?
I'm sorry. Oh my God, Jesus. Look.
He took the documents at Mar-a-Lago, right? He had those, right? He was showing them to people saying, I could have declassified these, but I didn't. Ha ha ha. Right?
And not only is he asking these as questions, he's asking them as questions, but also as a statement. He's making a statement. Right? So, I mean, you can look at it as, oh, he's asking the other person a question, he's giving the other person an opportunity. Yeah, but you also kind of see that the way he's asking those questions is also him affirmatively making a claim and attack on the Republican Party and Donald Trump.
He declassified some of them.
He didn't.
Yes, he did.
Then why did he say, I could have, but I didn't? Let's be honest, too. He's probably too fucked retarded to even know how to declassify anything. So it's not even... And also, some of it he didn't have the power to declassify.
You don't mean that, right?
I do mean that.
No, you don't.
Of course I do. What do you mean?
You don't.
He's a fucking idiot.
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's your president still.
That's fine. I can have an idiot president. You think you had a senile one? I think I have an idiot one.
But I respected the senile one.
I don't respect the idiot evil one. I don't have to respect him. What do you mean?
You don't respect the office?
I do. Trump doesn't.
You don't have to. I hate this stupid fucking talking about other people. Oh, I respect the office. You respect the office. The entire reason we have free speech is that we don't have to sit there and like kiss up to our, officials of government. We have the fundamental right to criticize our government. I don't have to respect the office. It's fucking stupid. And by the way, like, not liking the person who is currently occupying the office is not the same thing as like criticizing the office itself. And he's like, they intentionally try to conflate those things. Like, oh, if you're criticizing Trump, that means you're criticizing the concept of even having a president. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that this person here is not qualified for it. They're corrupting it and they're not a good fit for it.
Of course he does.
No, he doesn't. How does Trump respect the office of the presidency? Then why does he have his personal lawyer running around and doing all of his lawsuits and work for it? What do you mean? Look at the audience again. Debate him. You got him.
I'm going to poison you at dinner. I'm going to poison you at dinner, Brian. Well, no, that's a warning. Don't eat.
What do you call this? There's got to be a phrase for this when you are uncomfortable, but you're trying to pass it off and diffuse it with humor. Isn't that like what being hysterical is, I guess? I don't know. There's got to be another word for it. I can't think of.
Anyway, so
what do you think is the most corrupt thing that Trump has done in office with the DOJ?
Notice, like, this is a really smart framing of a question. He's not asking him, hey, what do you think, what do you think the worst thing that Biden did was compared to Trump? How do you think Trump compares to Biden? It's almost a loaded question. It's like to answer that question, if you're answering that question literally, you don't even have the option of saying like, oh, I don't think he has done anything corrupt or anything. You're actually asking him and inviting him like to give an example of corruption from Trump. Right? Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like I explained that kind of poorly, but you get the point. Like, it's framed in such a way that in order for them to answer that question, you are like, they have to attack their own party. They have to actually admit something bad about Donald Trump to answer that question. Or Santos will probably try to pivot off of it or like use some kind of excuse or whatever, but that's okay, right? The point is, the way that Destiny is framing the conversation is constantly on the offensive and forcing Santos into uncomfortable positions.
I've seen nothing that I can turn around and say was corrupt. I can say what I don't like that's happening in the administration. The Epstein case, I don't like it. I don't like how it's being handled. I really don't.
Whose fault is that?
You can blame it on the entire administration. I don't care.
Why not Donald Trump?
You can blame it on
Donald Trump,
Bondi,
okay, cool.
whoever.
Okay, cool.
My point
Trump was telling people the FBI needs to censor his name.
Listen,
out of the Epstein
that
files,
is
right?
not true.
Really?
That is
so
not true.
everybody lied about that?
That's not true.
Why is that not true?
Who said that on the record? Who said that on the record? Was it an anonymous source?
It was reported by every single major.
Who said it on the record?
I don't remember.
Nobody. It was an anonymous source as usual.
Oh, okay.
Am I boring you? Is that why you're yawning? She's so bored. I mean, so I'm kind of like, let's move on. Can we talk about?
So when those Epstein files were released,
no. Can we talk about something else? No, I'm going to stay right here. You're uncomfortable for a reason because you're looking like you and your party are looking bad right now.
Censored and rejected all of them. Was that just on accident, or was it lucky, or?
I don't have an obligation to bail you out. You're trying to you guys want to control my country. You guys want to corrupt my country. I'm not have to feel bad for you.
Okay.
I'm going to keep hammering you on this point.
What is this guy always?
By the way, when I'm saying I'm doing that, I'm just kind of saying this should be the mentality that you should have. This should be the mentality that other liberals have when they're approaching these things.
Or he's in the Epstein files 20 times more than Jesus' name is in the gospel or whatever. Not that Trump's read that either, but I mean.
All right, can we talk about Democrats a little bit? Because it's like
no.
No, I mean, we're going to start.
Let's talk about Democrats.
No.
Let's talk about
Hold on,
Democrats.
time out. I can continue to talk about Republicans, but are we going to address?
I want to talk about Democrats.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Tulsi Gabbard said that Donald Trump went to war.
Do you see the cleverness of this? Tulsi Gabbard was, I don't even know if she ever switched parties. I think she still is, quote unquote, a Democrat. But Destiny's like, oh, okay, sure. Let's talk about a Democrat. And then he chooses the Democrats who have betrayed the Democratic Party to represent Donald Trump and work for Donald Trump. So technically we're talking about the Democrats, but he's still keeping the initiative. He's still keeping the offensive. He is still attacking Trump and the Republicans while he's doing so. You don't need to feel guilty about this. You don't need to feel like it's unfair for you to do this. This is our country that we're talking about. This isn't a game.
war with Iran without consulting the intelligence community? Why? How is that even possible? You guys, because you
Weren't
say
we gonna
Gabbard's
talk
a
about
Democrat all the time,
Democrats?
right? You said Tulsi Gabbard's a Democrat all the time. Don't you guys say that? We can talk about RFK Jr. Wait, I'm just curious on this, and then we can talk about the rest of the Democrats.
No, they are not Democrats.
Do you think that
They are not
glad somebody
Democrats.
admits that? Thank you.
They are not
Do you think
Democrats.
that we solved?
They were Democrats, but you were a Republican.
Did we solve? I was a Republican when I was a teenager.
But you
I
were
had
a
an excuse to be an idiot. Okay, that was all right. Did we solve
You're
autism?
spicy today.
Did we solve?
I said that it was going to be a
autism?
spicy
Did we-
sass.
True, by the way, if you don't know Destiny's background, he grew up, his parents were conservative. He grew up a conservative. He grew up like a, what was that movement? The Tea Party movement. He grew up as like a Tea Party conservative. Then in his college years, he became a little bit more of like a libertarian. And then as he like actually looked into politics more, he became more of like a liberal.
Queen debate, and
Did we solve?
Just an interesting thing. And I think that background helps out a lot, actually, because you understand the mentality and the talking points of the conservatives that you're now debating. It helps out a lot. I've never been a conservative, but in a similar regard, the area that I grew up in the country is a relatively conservative area. So I'm used to talking to conservatives. I'm used to the way that conservatives talk about things. My grandpa was a big time conservative growing up. You know, he used to, I remember when he would come home from work, he would just sit there and watch Fox News all day. I used to watch Bill O'Reilly, not because I liked it, but because that's what my grandpa had on. I know what Bill O'Reilly used to talk about. I know what those talking points were. I used to debate my grandpa. You know what I mean? It's a benefit to be a liberal who has an understanding of how conservatives think and they talk. My God, my cat scared the hell out of me right now. I thought I saw a hand come through. It was just my cat running right through the...
actually understood the assignment.
I did.
Okay. Now.
We solve autism with RFK and all. Does that happen? Is autism solved? Is
Come
that
on. First of all, that's a low ball. Stop.
I'm just saying, you guys make a joke at everything he says. Meanwhile,
Stop.
Fauci gets one statement half wrong about something, and now you guys are watching your kids die of measles, and you're like, I told him so. Like, it's not, how is it even remotely a tenable position to not care about anything anybody in office does on your side, but on our side, you're critical of every single person.
You're talking about vaccines. I'm not going to get into the debate of vaccines.
You're talking about Hunter Biden Burisma, whose entire income at Burisma is a rounding error to any number of Trump's crazy fucking money-making schemes. It's not even close.
Low energy. Oh, no. Oh, it's picking up. Yes! He understood the assignment, Brian. Buy him dinner.
Sorry, we're going to talk about Democrats now.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Fuck you, Destiny.
It's an impossible. Do you acknowledge that this is a hard debate for you? It is harder for you than me. It is because Trump is fucking insane, and it is the most corrupt administration
I can sit here
ever.
and tell you with a straight face that I think he's a great president, and I mean it.
What does that mean to you? What does it mean to be a great
I
president?
think he's a great president.
Great
Is he
how?
perfect? Is he perfect?
Great
He's
how?
not perfect.
Great how?
He's not perfect.
Great
Nobody's
how?
freaking perfect. I like his policies. I like his foreign. I like his border policy. Do you not like?
You know, when it comes to Santos, I actually don't think Santos gives a single shit about any of this stuff. I really don't. I don't think Santos actually thinks Trump's a great president. I don't think Santos thinks his foreign policy is great. I don't think Santos has an opinion one way or the other. If you're familiar with Santos and his background and everything, I think that this is purely 100% just an opportunistic person. He found a niche in politics where he knows that he scratches Trump's back, he scratches the Republican Party's back, and they'll reward him with, supporting campaign things that he gets involved in, giving him pardons, giving him speaking opportunities where he can make money off of. I don't think he actually cares about any of this.
Like his border policy?
No, I don't.
Oh, so you rather more people coming in?
That's the option. Either an executive order at the border pretending everything is fixed, or unlimited immigration into the country. Those are the two things.
Do you prefer 4 million people coming in unvetted, or do you prefer no people coming in unvetted?
I would probably
That is a
prefer
question.
no people, but you know what I would
okay, so
actually prefer?
you prefer no people.
You know what I would
like
actually
that.
like?
Actually, we found common ground.
What if we have a actual immigration bill to deal with some of the people
There
who are
is
here?
one working its way through Congress.
We had one at the end of Biden's term, and Trump shot it down because he didn't like the fact that Democrats were going to do something about the border. And Ted Cruz and everybody else on the record.
And you
talking
believe
about it.
that?
That's what everybody said. Trump said it publicly. The nice thing is I don't have to guess at your guys' conspiracies. You guys are open about them.
Trump said he didn't like it, but that's not the reason it didn't pass. They didn't have the votes to begin with.
They had the votes
They
for
did
it.
not.
They absolutely did.
They did not.
They did because Ted Cruz and everybody else had to come out and
the
talk
House.
about.
I was there and I
Oh
voted
my
against the
God.
bill myself.
After
It was a
Trump-
bad bill.
It wasn't a bad bill.
It was a bad bill. It gave broad amnesty to almost 10 million people. It was a bad bill.
Why is that a bad thing? Right? If we're concerned that the issue is that these people are technically in the law, not legitimized here, but you're not actually citing any issue that these people are having in the country, not driving crime, not driving drug trafficking, not driving, loss of jobs and everything. I know Republicans say this, but the stats don't bear it out. Then if they're here, if they're working, if they're doing, why not just put them on a pathway towards legitimization. You know what I mean? Unless the real reason is that you just don't like immigrants, period. And that's the real reason that you're for all these things, but you can't just like say that.
Absolutely did not.
Yes,
get
it did.
amnesty. This was a Republican bill.
No, it was not.
It was. It came from Langford in the Senate. I know that's a different place than where you were at, but there are Republicans in the other place too in the Senate. What do you mean?
I forgot about the nursing home. I know it's Senator Langford's bill. I understand that.
That was kind of funny. I gotta give him that. I like that joke. The nursing home. He's talking about the Senate because everybody there's like super old.
The Senate.
Oh, I'm thinking of the White House. My bad. Keep going.
Right. Sure.
How old is Trump again?
Sure.
Okay. Isn't it crazy that
because
like
Biden wasn't a fucking nursing home patient.
at least Biden's
That was a good comeback, though.
He is a retard. Biden is a demented retard.
You're making fun of a car firing on half the cylinders while your car doesn't have any tires. It can't get off the finish line.
Stop! You're gonna give me wrinkles. They're gonna come through the Botox, you crazy son of a bitch.
Netanyahu needed 5 minutes of slam poetry with Donald Trump to convince him to nuke Iran, okay? And Biden, for all his senility, realized that Netanyahu is full of shit. Who's the retard? What's going on here?
I don't like Netanyahu either, so it's tough.
Well, it must be hard because Trump was his biggest fan. Wait, actually, or he might hate him right now. Or he might be his biggest fan right now. I'm not sure because it changes every 2 fucking minutes, which is a big symptom of senility, by the way. Frequently changing your mind and having no idea what's going on around you.
All right, are we gonna talk about Israel now? Is that it?
We can talk about whatever you want.
I don't know, like you.
The Democrats.
Are you
We're the Democrats. We're doing the Democrats.
All right.
Democrats.
All right. So let's go back. Can we go back to 2024?
Arguing with a
Can we
Republican
go
about
back to
Trump,
2024
it's like
for a
fighting a
second?
boss battle where every single part is like vulnerable. So you can talk about anything. And it's like target here on everything.
Because Joe Biden was so ironclad, his administration was so perfect.
Compared to Donald Trump, he was the fucking Pope.
He was a dumpster
And you
fire.
know what? That maps because you guys even hate the fucking Pope now, so it even works for that analogy. Jesus Christ.
Don't bring Jesus into this.
Okay.
Listen, inflation was a shit show. Immigration was a shit show.
Why was inflation so bad?
Is it Trump's fault too?
No, I'm just curious. Why do you think inflation was bad? Watch this.
COVID.
Was that Biden's fault?
No.
Was it?
So notice, again, Santos isn't stupid. He knows that the inflation was because of COVID, not because of Biden's specific policies or anything. But unless Destiny had pressed him on that, he was perfectly comfortable with misleading the audience because they're power hungry and manipulative.
Trump's fault?
Not really.
Was it Trump's fault?
No, but I'm not blaming.
And that's the difference, by the way, between, that there's that expression, don't attribute to malice, which could be explained by incompetence or whatever. I hate that expression, by the way, because I don't think you should assume one way or the other. I think you should look at the pattern of behavior. And sometimes the pattern of behavior points towards malice rather than just, incompetence. Santos is not fully incompetent. Santos understands some of this stuff. It's malicious. It's deliberate. It's manipulative.
Blaming Trump for inflation.
Okay, great. All right, so COVID, nobody could have controlled it, right? But were Biden's policies friendly for reducing inflation?
No, but that wasn't the goal of the policies at the time, right?
It should have been.
When the whole world economy, hold on, do you ever want to deficit spend as a government ever?
No. We should not deficit spend.
Ever.
Never. We should balance a budget.
Oh,
at every
like they did in the Great
opportunity.
Depression.
My point is, the fact, listen to what I'm trying to say, seriously. The fact that we can't get a single administration, and this is my biggest criticism of even President Trump, we cannot get a single administration since Clinton and Newt Gingrich, which is mind-blowing, to balance the budget. It is.
Why is that?
Because everybody likes populists. Everybody likes...
Since Clinton, by the way, Clinton was the last Democratic president, who actually had a budget surplus. I want to impress upon you guys how crazy that is considering where we've been since then. We never have surpluses anymore. We always have deficits. The last time we had a surplus was Clinton, Democrat. Every time a Republican has come in, and I'm not making this up, the deficit increased. Every time a Democrat has come in, they've decreased the deficit. We don't talk about this, but when Obama came in, we're in the midst of the Great Recession. The deficit spending was high because we had to do stimulus packages in order to smooth out the recovery. But every year after that, the Obama administration decreased the budget, so much so, by the way, that by the time he left office, the budget deficit, he cut it by half. And when Trump had come in and the Republicans had come in after the Obama era, and they just continued doing what Obama was doing, we would have reached a point where we would have had a budget surplus because the deficit would have kept decreasing. But instead, what happened when Trump came in the first time? Republicans don't talk about this. The deficit started increasing again. Massive amount of addition to the debt, by the way, in Trump administration 1. Biden comes in. We have a lot of deficit spending due to COVID. By the time Biden leaves office, Biden again reduced the deficit from what he had inherited. Donald Trump 2.0 that we're living in right now comes in, and the deficit has exploded again. The rate of explosion under Trump 2.0 is insane. The amount that they're adding to the debt now, I mean, I think Donald Trump, by the time he leaves office, I think right now we're at like 1/3. And I mean, Donald Trump has been responsible for 1/3 of all debt that the United States has in its entire cumulative history. Maybe that's a weird way of saying it. I don't know. I guess it depends on what you mean by that mathematically. But as it currently stands right now, the total amount of debt we have right now, 1/3 of that is Donald Trump. By the time he leaves office, who the fuck knows? He might be responsible for the entire half of the debt that the United States has incurred. That's insane. And meanwhile, you'll have all these Republicans talking about like, oh, well, you know, Donald Trump's not perfect, but, you know, I like his policies. I'm really concerned about like spending and the debt and everything. What the fuck are you talking about? The Republicans have just ballooned the absolute loving shit out of the debt. You cannot sit there and tell me that you're voting for the Republican Party because you're worried about the debt and deficit. That's bullshit. You're lying. Or you're like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Like sporculous spending.
Everybody.
Both sides.
Everybody. Both sides.
Both sides.
What did Obama have to spend through when he came into office?
Iraq.
And?
Afghanistan.
And? The global catastrophic financial market meltdown.
Right.
Okay.
By the way, if you're not old enough to remember this, Iraq, Afghanistan, the recession were all things that came into place during George W. Bush, the Republican. Obama inherited those things. It's like this has just been the consistent pattern as long as I've been alive. Republicans fuck shit up every time, and then Democrat comes in. They're not able to do it fast enough. The media apparatus the Republicans have just exaggerate everything, and then they vote in another Republican again, and it rinse and repeat. We do the same thing over again, and as a country, we don't learn anything, and we're never able to really kind of really pull ourselves out of the rut that we're in because we start to come back out, and then we go back in again, and then we start to come out, and then we just go right back in again. And now we're just like, we're slowly declining. Sometimes every now and then a Democrat comes in, we start to go back up again. But like overall, we're just declining rapidly because of what the Republicans are doing every time they come into power.
That's true. 3 big ones. And then his deficit spending was coming under. It was getting better. And then Trump comes in. Why the fuck is he deficit spending before COVID? No fucking reason. And the deficit got worse.
Obama handed Trump
a booming economy. What are you talking about? A stock market that was posting all-time highs, unemployment at record lows, GDP growth that was...
So what Trump inherited was Obama's, all Obama's, and then what Biden inherited was his? Because you guys love parading. Trump could have never saved the country.
Hold on, wait, you just said like, hold on, your dad was your grandfather's son, and I'm supposed to believe that you're your dad's son? Yes,
no.
What do you mean? Yes, the president inherits the thing for the president before him. What do you mean?
Great, I agree with that.
Okay.
So can you agree that Biden inherited something on the right tracks from Trump? Operation Warp Speed? I'm just trying to figure out which one is it.
I agree with that, but it's funny that you named the one policy from Trump that every fucking conservative hates. But yeah, Operation Warp Speed was fine. I think that was good.
I actually love Operation Warp Speed.
Okay, that's fine.
So don't put every conservative in the same basket.
So Trump had Operation Warp Speed. Okay, I'll give him that. But that's not what we were talking about. We were talking about inflation. But I'm saying that Obama comes in and you name 3 fucking once-in-a-lifetime catastrophes that the Democrats...
Trump had a once-in-a-lifetime catastrophe, and you guys essentially almost blamed him for COVID.
But I'm saying, why was Trump engaged...
Did you blame Trump for COVID?
Why was Trump engaged in so much deficit spending when he came into a booming economy? He passed a huge tax cut. He couldn't do anything about the ACA. They cried about that. He didn't get his infrastructure bill, but he was still spending for no reason. And then his deficit got bigger until COVID.
He also capped it. A lot of people like to say he passed a huge tax cut, and it was all about giving tax breaks for the rich. He capped salt taxes.
Oh wow.
It's a cap on the rich.
It's more spending.
No, it's not.
It's when you reduce the revenue that you make and you don't adjust your expenses, that means that you're spending more money, right? Yes, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what did Donald Trump do when he reduced his tax receipts with your state and local tax cap deductions? Okay, right. And then you don't adjust your spending. What happens?
Obviously, inflation.
Okay. Now Biden comes in off of the back of COVID. We get the whole Israel fiasco, and then we get Ukraine, Russia.
By the way, if you don't know this, economically, I mean, there's multiple ways that inflation has occurred. But one of the major ways is that the total money supply has increased, but the entire, like the total GDP, the total productivity of your economy has not increased to match that. And so if the money supply increases at a higher rate than the GDP is increasing, those things are not scaling at the same rate. And therefore, the value of the currency that's supposed to represent the GDP is being it's the other way, the denominator is smaller. So you're taking the total amount of productivity in your economy and you're dividing it by the total amount of currency that you have, because the currency is supposed to represent this GDP. If these are 1-to-1 and they're rising 1-to-1, you're not going to have inflation. When this is increasing more than this is, every unit of currency now has to represent a smaller amount to match the amount of GDP, if that makes sense. It might be a little bit hard for you to follow, but just know that if you're increasing the amount of like money in the supply because you're printing money to afford the spending, but the productivity is not matching, you're having inflation.
Right? Are any of these Biden's fault?
Be right back. Hold on.
I'm not saying they're Biden's fault. That's the difference between you and I. I don't blame Ukraine on Biden. I make observations that
Stop.
he said no.
It's like coming into the kitchen
Let me
when you've
finish.
ruined everything
Are
and
you
your
gonna
brother's
let me
there and he's
talk?
done nothing and you're like, well, I'm not pointing any fingers. No shit, because you fucked it all up. You don't get credit for that. Republicans fuck shit up in
Can I
office.
talk?
So, okay, go on.
I'm not in the business of blaming.
I am. That's what I'm here to do tonight. I'm here to blame somebody because the Republicans have fucked shit up over and over again. I know they don't want to be in the blame game, because if they were, they would be getting all the blame.
Jesus Christ.
I know. You can't help the Republicans now.
You're so bad. No.
Well, maybe you can bring McConnell back. I guess.
I can't even get mad at
It's a good song, by the way. Let's play the blame game. I love you more. If you're not familiar, I think that's a Kanye West song. But I think it's John Legend singing that chorus. It's a good song.
you for that comment, because I kind of agree with you on that one. Huh? Oh no, we have common ground. We have plenty of common ground.
Do you remember Doge? How are we going to protect?
He's being relentless. Okay, let's move on to another bad thing about Trump and the Republican Party. Why the fuck not? They're bad. I'm trying to make the point that they're bad. They're like destroying my country. I don't have to sit there and try to like salvage you and your party and your reputation and everything. Like, I'm going to keep going.
Pretend like Republicans are doing anything for spending.
Let's talk about the next bad thing that they did.
The last balanced budget was a Democrat.
With a Republican speaker. It was a bipartisan effort. It was an actually great bipartisan effort. It was Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton. Are you going to deny that, or is Newt Gingrich not a Republican anymore?
So we give the Speaker of the House credit when it's a good thing.
When he does his budget, when he does his job. Yeah, absolutely.
okay,
No.
okay.
I'll give any Speaker of the House when they do their job. Their actual obligation, which is to balance the budget and pass individual spending bills. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I'll give Pelosi that
What was
credit if
Trump
she could do it.
championing? The big, beautiful Botox bill or whatever the fuck it was called? How did that... We solidify, like, the spending is a fucking disaster, and it's the Republicans that do it. We have to be honest
it's only
about
the
it.
Republicans.
We have to be honest
It's
about
only
it.
the Republicans.
It's yes, majority of the Republicans right now, yes.
You do understand that we're still spending at Nancy Pelosi levels of spending, because we are still reappropriating her CRs, which are inflated by 45% because they were pandemic era spending. We're still spending at the same level of the pandemic era.
Do you know
That's a
why?
fact.
Do you know why?
That's not innuendo. I'm just saying. So
Do you think that I would...
Just think about it for a minute. We're still spending at pandemic levels. Why the fuck would we be still spending at pandemic levels? The only reason we were spending at pandemic levels was because there was a fucking pandemic. That's exceptional. That's not normal. We don't want that. Our response to a global pandemic is an emergency response. You don't want to be doing that all the goddamn time. We didn't even want to do that. Like, realistically, ideally, we don't want to be printing massive amounts of money. The only reason that we're willing to do that is because of the pandemic. Why are we doing it now? It makes no sense.
we're still spending at Pelosi
Do
spending.
you think that I would criticize Bezos for buying a yacht? I wouldn't, because Bezos might have Bezos' level of spending, but he probably also has Bezos' level of income. Pelosi might want to spend at a certain level, but Democrats aren't the ones that are constantly pushing to...
But also, like, this is a very dishonest way of framing it. Pelosi levels of spending. Pelosi was in control of the House, but McConnell was in control of the Senate during COVID. the Republicans, along with the like Santos is trying to make it seem like the Democrats are responsible, the only ones responsible for the stimulus spending during COVID. If you were paying attention to politics at the time, this is one of the few times that Republicans didn't like spend a lot of time dragging their feet and bullshitting. They basically got on board to do stimulus spending for the COVID pandemic, and Mitch McConnell was in control of the Senate at the time, and you cannot pass spending like that without the leader of the Senate bringing that to the floor and being willing to corral the rest of the Republicans in the Senate to vote on it. And then, what, I don't know if they pass it through reconciliation or whatever it may be, but like, sometimes you have a reconciliation where you reconcile the differences between the two bills between the House and the Senate in order to make that happen. But like Pelosi's level of spending, don't you mean Pelosi and McConnell and Donald Trump, who was the president at the time, by the way, levels of spending? What the fuck are you talking about? Donald Trump signed his name on those stimulus checks that went out to the Americans. How are we blaming it all just on Pelosi then? I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, by the way. I'm not blaming Trump or the Republicans during COVID for the amount of spending that we did during COVID, because we didn't really have a choice. Sometimes in life, you don't really have like an ideal choice. Sometimes you have to do things that are ideal in order to respond to things. And then once you get out of the situation that you're in, you try to kind of, get things back to normal. I don't blame Trump or the Republicans for the state of the economy during COVID. It's like, I don't blame anybody for that. It was a natural disaster, so to speak. But like, they want to blame Biden for it and Pelosi for it.
Defund the government. At the very least, Biden tried to pass legislation where the cost of the legislation also was offset by other revenue-raising tools. So like the IRA, the reason why we call it the Inflation Reduction Act, because he's trying to match spending cuts. Republicans don't.
But it failed. You agree that it failed?
No,
you don't think the IRA failed at all?
What do you mean failed at all?
It was a bad.
So the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, some of the issues here, I don't know how I feel about the naming of the bill. Maybe we can call it a little bit misleading, because I don't know for sure. Maybe this is the case, and there's an aspect of this I don't quite understand, but I don't believe it was really, like, it really reduced inflation, but it didn't increase inflation. And the reason for that is because it was what you call revenue neutral, meaning the amount of money that they were spending, they were matching it with the amount of money that they were raising. They weren't printing new money in order to do so. So they weren't causing inflation with the spending. And it was good spending. I don't think spending is a bad thing. Republicans will do this thing where they, like, I don't know if they're actually stupid or they pretend they're stupid. When you're talking about governments, when you're talking about massive organizations, when you're talking about corporations, the idea that you're doing debt or deficit spending isn't inherently a bad thing. Corporations will engage in debt. I mean, most corporations, most businesses will carry some debt because they're, like, strategically sometimes it makes sense to take out a loan, for example, because you're banking on the growth that's going to facilitate so that your company could grow faster, and you wind up in a positive position at the end of that. Debt, it's hard to give this as like personal financial advice because the average person can't handle this, but debt and deficit spending is not inherently bad. There's strategic ways to use it, and pretty much every major corporation, international corporation, SpaceX, Elon Musk, Tesla, Apple, all of these companies will all carry some amount of debt and deficit spending. They all do. It's not inherently bad. The question is whether you can service that debt or deficit, whether you're able to service the interest, whether the interest is ballooning outside of your control. That's where it becomes a real issue. And to that point, by the way, the U.S. debt has reached 100% of U.S. GDP for the first time since World War II under Donald Trump.
Bill, it didn't do its job.
You can call it a bad bill, but what I'm saying is
it didn't do its job. That's what I'm saying.
What was the job? It was an infrastructure, something, and green energy investment or something,
and it was supposed to invest back in America, buy American, or whatever.
Oh my God, I just realized right now that I was talking this entire time. The microphone was shut off. No, the point I was trying to make is that represented good kinds of spending, that bill, the infrastructure or the Inflation Reduction Act, because it was investment in infrastructure, and there's something called an economic multiplier effect, where what you decide to spend money on has a different rate of growth in the economy, because economic activity begets other economic activity. So give you an example of that. I go to the store, I buy groceries from the store. That money then pays for, it's money into that business. That business can use that money to increase their operations, to buy new equipment. It goes to the salaries of the people that work at that business. Those people then have money that they can spend in other businesses. Notice that now we're talking about economic activity that is like, it's leading to other economic activity elsewhere, right? And so a really simple example of economic multiplier effect is if I gave you $1 million for government spending, and you had the decision between, I'm going to spend $1 million on a bunch of public schools I'm going to build for, we don't have enough teacher to children ratios in our public schooling, versus I'm going to spend $1 million on a bunch of Skittles. We're going to buy shitloads of Skittles, and we're going to have a big Skittles eating festival. Which one of those potential spending decisions is going to generate more growth in the long term? Well, obviously, it's going to be the public schooling, right? If I spend a bunch of money on the Skittles, we enjoyed it for a day, but that's pretty much it. If I spend that money on a bunch of schooling, now we're having children who are going to grow up with better education. Some of them are going to become scientists, some of them become engineers, some of them become doctors, whatever it may be, right? Which they're going to also facilitate better economic growth in the economy overall. We know that from a lot of data acquisition over time, that infrastructure is one of the best examples, has one of the highest economic multipliers. Why would it have the highest economic multiplier? Well, because infrastructure is what facilitates other commerce. You need roads and bridges to ferry products to other, from the manufacturers to the storefronts. You need roads and bridges in order for people to drive to their work so that they can conduct commerce. That's why infrastructure investment is one of the best, most prudent examples of public spending.
Whatever the name of the slogan was, and it was supposed to help with inflation. It didn't help.
No, it doesn't help with inflation.
It was supposed to. It was billed as that. I mean, the way that they sold it to the public.
You were a member of Congress?
I was not at
tell
that
me
time.
that the limited extent you have with legislation is the name of the fucking bill.
No.
Was the Patriot Act about a fucking about a movie with a fucking?
You're missing the point. No, don't beat that
I'm not missing the point. Don't sit
rude.
here and tell me, well, it was called the Inflation Reduction Act, and you know what? Actually, it didn't actually reduce the inflation. Correct, it didn't. The reason why it was called the Inflation Reduction Act was because they tried to match the spending of the bill.
I understand.
I
understand that.
Yes, it didn't reduce inflation.
I understand the appropriation process that it took. I get all of that. My point is, it failed to accomplish most of what it saw out to do.
It was a bill that had spending measures tied to it for investing in.
And it failed.
It failed how?
It failed.
I don't know what that means. What do you mean there was money that was spent for investments into green energy infrastructure in the United States. How is this? What do you mean failed? I know that it worked because Donald Trump just put his name on all the fucking signs as it's paid for with the Biden fucking IRA or the Biden fucking infrastructure bill. So I know it works. Just like I know the ACA works because Donald Trump's up here saying, actually, we kind of like pre-existing conditions, and we just cap Medicaid and blah blah blah, and all this other shit that Biden did that Republicans like to pretend is horrible.
Great. I think that's great.
That's fine, but Democrats should probably get some credit for it instead of Trump acting like he's doing novel shit. Well, he is doing novel shit, just not stuff that you want.
Okay, here's something.
No, wait.
Here's something that nobody likes to acknowledge. Who capped insulin prices?
Biden did initially.
No, it wasn't. Trump started it. It's true. And then Biden finished it, but Trump started it at the end of his last term. It's true. It's a fact.
Okay.
Is that a good thing?
No, I don't like price controls, actually. I'm more of a libertarian guy when it comes to the capital markets, so.
I fucking hate you, I swear. Why do I do this? Why the fuck did I come? You're awful.
Where were we?
Oh, who said that? Oh, that's actually true, I think.
What? Donald Trump is on track to be responsible for like a third of the debt on his own. That's kind of crazy. At what point do we think maybe Republicans have the spending problem? Maybe?
I think, but dude, you're arguing something with me that I'm out there. Do you even hear what I say? Or I know I don't expect you to.
I do hear what you say. It's infinite excuses.
I'm not
pivoting.
excusing. I'm literally telling you. I agree. Republicans have a spending issue.
You think it's the same as the Democrats? It's not.
I think they both have awful spending issues.
You just repeated what I said softer. I'm telling you that's not the case.
They both have spending issues. If they didn't, but
would in 2016 would Hillary Clinton have done the Trump tax cuts?
I'm sorry, what?
Would Hillary have done the same tax cuts?
I can't remember Hillary's policies. Or are you saying if she would have? What are you saying?
If Hillary was elected as the president?
I mean, we all know, right? It goes without saying. Hillary didn't run on that. Democrats don't typically have this kind of policy. They don't. Everybody knows that Hillary and the Democrats, they had no intention of doing a bunch of tax cuts for rich people and billionaires, obviously, right? If you can't concede that point, like, it's very obvious that you're not a honest actor in this.
In the United States, would she have been an advocate for the same types of tax cuts that Donald Trump was?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. You're talking about one of the most practical and pragmatic human beings to ever be in politics. She probably would have.
I don't think there's any evidence for it. I don't think she would have. Do you think that when they solidified the Trump tax
pragmatic.
cuts, do you think when they solidified the Trump tax cuts, do you think that Biden or Harris would have done that in a second term? Would have tried to solidify the Trump tax cuts without matching it with any spending cuts whatsoever?
No.
Okay, so the Republicans spend more. They do, and they don't make any more money. They try to defund our IRS. They're spending crazy money on wars that I don't even know if they know why we're in them. It's.
Oh, well, we know why we're in the war with Iran. Is that what you're referencing to? I think
with Iran. I don't know if you know. I know why we're there.
Why?
Because Trump is fucking retarded.
Oh my God. Is that really your reason for everything?
When the guy is a retard,
Can you give me a substantive answer? Why do you think? Give me something at least a notch more intellectual.
A substantive answer is that Donald Trump doesn't understand the office of the presidency. He doesn't know what it means to govern as a president, and he looks for easy wins.
He could win it twice, and Biden couldn't.
Winning, well, 3 times according to him, right?
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, well, okay. So he's also been impeached twice too. So just saying, you know. So you have a guy who doesn't understand what he's doing in office. He looks for easy wins when he can find them. He feels like he came high and mighty off the Maduro abduction or whatever, and then he looks.
He did a great job with that.
And Netanyahu comes by.
Are you mad?
Netanyahu comes by.
Are you pro-Maduro?
Netanyahu comes by.
Are you pro-Maduro?
I'm anti-abducting world leaders.
You're anti-abducting a war criminal that kills and starves his people.
It's not the job of the United States. If he was so fucking bad, why?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but you need a declaration of war for that. I don't like the idea that the president gets to just decide. There's a reason why the founding fathers didn't give that decision to one person. They gave it to Congress, right? If we want to go to war, if we want to declare war on a country, if we want to get the Congress to sign on to a military operation like this where we're doing regime change, there's situations where that's warranted. I'm not one of these people that's like just reflexively black and white anti-war. There are situations where war is justified. Like, I'll give you an example. A lot of the people who are quote unquote anti-war, I bet you those same people, if you were to say like, we're going to go intervene in Israel-Palestine, and we're going to like militarily stop Israel from the, genocide or whatever, they'd be supportive of that. Well, but that would be military intervention. That would be war. That would be a war action. Not every war action is bad. It depends, right? The United States going to war against the Nazis. I think that's a bad thing. Hot take. I think it was a good thing. You know what I mean? So like, if you are just completely anti-war whatsoever, then you have to, like, you're telling me that you'd be against the United States intervening in the Holocaust. Like, come on. Like, be an adult for a second. That's fucking stupid. But yeah, I mean, for the Maduro thing, the issue isn't that we remove Maduro from power. The issue is that we cannot normalize the president unilaterally making the decision to declare war on other countries, to commit the United States to regime change. That has to be signed off by Congress. It has to be. Otherwise, we wind up in situations like we wind up in Iran, where it doesn't work out the way that the Venezuela thing worked out, where that happened in one night. And now we're bogged down in one of the most stupid fucking examples of military and foreign policy in modern history.
Why didn't Donald Trump get a UN resolution to do it?
That's funny. The UN has no teeth. The UN has no teeth. The UN is literally
co-signing missions to Kosovo, or letting us bomb the fucking Serbs, or letting us go to fucking Libya. What do you mean?
Part of the reason the UN has no teeth in recent decades is probably because of how divided the United States is. The United States is going to be one of the most prominent power within the United Nations, or NATO for that matter. Pick one, either one, right? But if we're flip-flopping, if we're not actually supporting these international organizations, then like everybody else kind of just follows suit because we're the big kid on the block.
My God, the UN has.
We triggered Article 5 for Iraq and Afghanistan, didn't we?
Sure.
That's true too, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. My understanding is the only time, I believe this is the case, the only time Article 5 was triggered, which by the way, Article 5 of the NATO Charter is that an attack on one is attack on the rest of them. So it's agreement that if we get attacked or we go to war with somebody, like the other are attacked, actually, the other countries have to support us in that. The only time was when the United States invoked it for I forget if it's the Afghanistan war or the Iraq war, maybe it was both. But, and by the way, you look back on that now and you realize that the United States, the Bush administration kind of lied us into that war. The only time that NATO actually rose to, Article 5 or whatever was because the United States like manipulated them into doing it on behalf of the Republican Party. So to pretend like these things are toothless or they're useless or we shouldn't have them anymore, like, or that they're ineffective or that they're not going to support us, they did. We're the ones that took advantage of that. They fulfilled their end of the obligation. We fucked them over with that.
Oh, so everybody can get a deal except for Trump. Pretty fucking ironic, huh?
That's not
The great deal maker, right? Can't get a single fucking friend or ally to help him with anything? The only deal he had, the U.S.-Mexican trade agreement, he's trying to rip up right now? Destroy the largest unified market on the planet? For, I don't even know why. Why do you think he's trying to rip that deal up? Do you
with the
know?
USMCA.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of a big problem? You can't even fucking guess.
I don't
You can't even
know.
guess why he's attacking the largest free market on the planet. You don't even know? Isn't that a problem? No. Ask me a question about Biden, see if I can answer. Ask me a question about something Biden did, and see if I can answer.
Time out. Maybe
Yeah?
because the USMCA actually, he now recognized. I didn't like it. I actually thought it was worse than NAFTA
Oh.
Based on what? I bet you he doesn't really have anything. He's just making shit up.
when he put it out. I did. I
So
thought
the
it
only
was worse
big
than
deal that the deal maker.
I bet if we look back, like, we're not going to find any examples of him saying anything about that at the time. He was, I'm kind of curious, actually. George Santos, USMCA, and oh, wait a second, I don't want to do all that. So this would be before, I guess, before time. When was the USMCA signed? USMCA. July 1st, 2020. Replaced NAFTA when, oh, that's when it went into effect. But when was it agreed upon is the question. In effect, July 1st, 2020. Signed September of 2018. The revised version, December 10th, 2019. Okay, let's see if he said anything in... Or actually, let's do this one. Jesus Christ, I don't have a faster way of doing this. Hold on. That should be good enough, I think. Mini political risk analysis. Recommends. You probably just didn't really say anything about it. Okay. I'm not likely to find anything. That's okay. Point is, though, probably didn't say anything about it. Now that he's, saying, "Oh, I was against it the whole time."
in chief got for us was a bad one?
It's not. Oh, come on.
It's not the only one? Or what was
Is that
one
really
other
what
deal
you're going to
that
say? Are you really going to sit here and say that this president has not accomplished anything positive?
In net, no. I'm sure there are some things, maybe. I don't know.
Can you point one? Can you give me one comment that's
Hopefully
positive?
Can you help me sell the Republican Party for me? No, that's your job. Go fuck yourself. I'm not going to help you with that.
irredeemably tarnishing the careers of a lot of Republicans right now, I guess.
Oh, okay, no. Now a serious one. Can you give me a policy position that he's had that you actually?
It's not a matter of policy position. It's a matter of the way that he conducts himself as the president.
I don't care about the way he
I
conducts
do.
himself.
I do. That's the
but I'm
problem. It doesn't
asking-
matter if he does one or two good things when it's part of a basket of horrible things.
So he's a horrible human being. But yet, the majority of this country voted for him a second time.
The majority of the country voted for Hillary Clinton over Trump the first time. What do you want me to say?
Oh, what? I'm sorry?
The majority of the country voted for Hillary Clinton. It was 3 million more votes.
Sure, okay, but she didn't win because of the Electoral College.
That's not the point. Obviously, he probably knows that too. The point is, like, if you're going to try to make this point that, oh, the president must be good, the president must be, because a bunch of people voted for him. Argument ad populum, by the way. But yeah, if you're going to make that point, then like, you're also saying that we can't say that all these Democrats that you don't like aren't good because, I mean, they won elections or they had the majority of the popular vote. Like, obviously, you don't actually stand by this consistently.
That's not how our elections take place.
Why are you saying the majority of Americans voted for Trump when you're? What does that
What I'm
do with
saying is
anything?
Trump won the election.
Okay.
A second time.
Okay.
That's because people wanted him back.
Okay. So what? I have to accept?
No, I'm not saying.
What is that? I don't understand what the point of that
So
is.
the way that you paint him, it's like he's incompetent and he can't
He
do
is.
anything good.
He
He's
is.
not.
That's true.
He's not.
Then why?
I mean, is it possible that the majority of people who voted, not, by the way, not the majority of the population, the majority of the people who voted, not everybody voted, but the majority of those people are like support an incompetent person? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are stupid. A lot of people don't realize what they're doing. A lot of people are belligerent. That's possible. Doesn't mean that everybody who fucking voted has a good sense of good judgment or whatever it may be.
Why has he failed to deliver on basically every single thing he came into office talking about?
He has not failed to deliver on every single thing.
We're anything.
I don't know. I'm asking too.
Okay, well, we had the president of no new wars, right? President of no new wars.
We're in a war.
Okay,
Yes.
that kind of fucked up, right? We had the
Inflation has not gone down.
100 deals in 100 days. I think so far we have 0. The U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement is on the verge of being torn up. We've made enemies of every prior ally in the world. Five Eyes is in shambles. NATO doesn't know if the United States is even willing to respond anymore. We've got countries in Europe that won't even...
Hold on, but let's put NATO in perspective. Erdogan being, my favorite dictator du jour, are they really an ally?
Turkey?
Yeah. Do they behave like an ally? Do they?
I mean, Turkey's a little bit iffy, but in terms of NATO, there's a little bit. It's a mixed record. But that said, right, Turkey hasn't always been under the control of Erdogan, and Turkey's only one of all the countries in NATO. If Turkey had been under Erdogan's control when NATO was formed, it's possible that we wouldn't have included them in NATO. But like, are we going to expel Turkey from NATO because they temporarily had this president? I don't think they've gone so far that we decided we're going to expel them from NATO, but it doesn't really characterize all of NATO. It's not a holistic view of NATO.
Girl, that sounds personal.
It's also just really weird for a conservative to say that, because Erdogan rules the way that Trump does. Erdogan behaves the way that the Christian nationalists behave here in the United States. His movement does over there in Turkey.
All right, crowd. This is where the show.
Might be misremembering, but didn't Erdogan actually finally leave office, or am I thinking of one of the other, far right? Erdogan. Is he still? Is a Turkish politician and statesman who's been the president of Turkey since 2014. Okay, yeah, he's still in there. I might be thinking of Orban.
That was right. Just chill.
They buy our stuff. We can use bases there.
I just got thrown off. Like, somebody said I need plugs. I'm like, what? That's kind of catty. Who said it? Was it you in the corner? Oh, you did? Oh, just because you have long hair. Okay, good for you. Boo-hoo. That's fine. I don't care. No, I don't.
Okay, we're not insulting the guest here. That's not what we're doing.
Oh, no, that's
tonight.
fine.
No.
I got thick skin. It's okay.
Yeah, it's my show. No.
Ooh, sassy. Anyway, so back to
Trump has made enemies out of all of our allies.
Do you believe Turkey is a good faith
I think
ally
Turkey is a member of NATO.
They are. That's a fact.
Okay, so
are they a good ally? Have they done their part as an ally?
Have they failed to respond to requests for help when we've requested help from them?
They've blocked us from using bases on their ground to defend our position in the Middle East.
From when?
Recently, with Iran.
Yeah, recently. Why is that? Because we were bad allies. Because we got we created an energy crisis across the entire world. We don't feel it as much here in the United States, but that actually is true. We've been, Destiny's probably going to make this point right now, but like, we've been threatening the annexation of territories in NATO, by the way. So like, to frame this as like, have they been good to us? Well, no, but they're responding to us instigating it in the first place.
Ron, they barred us.
I mean, by the way, it's not even us. We need to stop talking in this language. The Republicans, Trump, MAGA, they're responding to them.
From using their bases in the Middle East.
They have like this really like abusive, toxic mentality. I wonder how their relationships work in real life, where they have this idea where like, I can be as abusive as I want to be to all these other countries, but then they have to still kiss my ass. That's not the way it works. If you are a piece of shit to everybody on the globe, eventually no one trusts you anymore. Eventually no one wants to be your friend anymore. Eventually people stop dealing with you.
After Donald Trump has continuously attacked...
This is a point that I've made in the past too, before, by the way. The global world order with the United States on top was built during FDR's term. This is something that liberals built up over time. They are trading on our good faith and credit, the Republicans are, and they're driving it into the ground. They take for granted the position that we're in as the most dominant country in the world based on the policies of like the liberal world order that we built. But they don't understand that that's why we're in the position that we are. And they're taking that for granted and now driving it into the ground. We're losing our allies. We're losing our credibility abroad. We're like, and there's a lot more, but let's move on with
NATO
the
and
I understand, but they're still in the membership. The United
I
States
don't
is
even
the
know if the
largest.
United States is in the membership right now.
Of course it is.
Really? Do you think it's
We
taken
just
for
have
granted
to
right
sum
now
it.
that if somebody were to attack Poland, that the United States would respond? You know that
I believe
that's great. Can
we
you
would.
tell me how in the fuck can you mind read Trump here when every European leader disagrees with you, but you couldn't figure out earlier why Donald Trump would do any single policy ever? Why are you so confident the United States would respond to another country asking for help?
The United States would not leave any of its allies if needed. You know that.
No, why would you ever? He abandoned Kurdish allies. He did that in his administration. Yes, he abandoned Afghanistan. That was a negotiated retreat and a total surrender to and a capitulation to the Taliban. He did that, right? Didn't do fuck all for Ukraine. He's continually lambasted Zelensky. Who is America helping? Tell me. I want to know. Even Israel's getting fucked right now because now Trump said you can't hit Hezbollah anymore, and then now he's about to lose his fucking mind. So who are these great allies to the United States that Trump is helping? One, name one. You just said the U.S. is there for their allies. Who?
The U.S., if needed, and through NATO on Article 5, as you just pointed out, I do believe that we would deploy. I do. For our allies, yes, absolutely.
Okay,
that's
well,
why
no one else
Russia.
in the world.
That's
Do you
why
think it's a
Russia has
problem?
not incurred in Poland.
Do you
That's why
think-
Russia has not done anything to any of our actual allies.
Do you think it's a problem that
Ukraine
nobody
is
else?
not a NATO.
I don't think that's why. I think it's because Russia, despite all their bluster and everything, I don't think that they're confident that they can win a war against the combined power of NATO, even without the United States involved. Because right now they're getting their shit pushed in by fucking Ukraine. If they can't win a war against Ukraine, how the fuck are they going to win a war against England plus Germany plus France plus Spain plus Turkey plus Canada? Like it's not going to happen. It's stupid. And on top of that, because they're bogged down in Ukraine right now, they're not able to split their limited forces. I have another video, by the way, talking about the situation with Russia and Ukraine right now. They can't right now. They don't have the ability right now. They're not doing so hot in Ukraine, and if they try to split their forces, they're sure as shit not going to be doing good in either theater of war if they're trying to attack Poland and Ukraine at the same time.
Nobody else in Europe
Remember.
feels that way right now.
That's fine.
So how can you mind
It's
Trump
not
on this
fine.
issue when everybody else is not sure?
That's
You're
not
just gonna
true.
ignore all of
But
the time Trump has called NATO into question?
That's speculation. I mean, there's no reason.
It's speculating based on the things that Donald Trump has said when he's repeatedly over and over said that he doesn't like NATO.
That's not true. He doesn't like the fact that we're the largest subscriber.
The United States, the largest country with the biggest military, with the most to gain, that leads the free world, is also the biggest contributor to their own military? No fucking shit. He's the one who asked for an extra $500 million for the Pentagon. What do you mean?
And he was also the one who made all of our allies up their contributions to NATO.
And it didn't matter because he still wants to undermine and leave.
Because there's still members who are not contributing what they should.
That's fine. Then you work with them on it.
I mean, but they have to.
Oh, so now you're giving me reasons why Trump doesn't support NATO? But before you weren't sure if
I'm not telling you that. I'm saying that those are the skepticisms that he's voiced out, and I agree
Why would you
with him.
voice those out publicly?
Pressure campaigns work.
He couldn't do it privately? He's that shit of a negotiator?
He's
The only
tried
fucking thing he can do is get on...
privately.
Trump just
Oh, wait, the reason he's saying why would you voice that out publicly? Because this is a military alliance. The idea that you would broadcast to the world that there's internal conflicts within the members of the alliance and there's skepticism about the alliance that's there undermines the the combined projection of the strength of NATO to the rest of the world to act as a deterrent to people even trying to fuck with us. If you are voicing to the entire fucking world like, hey, this alliance that we have is very in doubt right now and is very sketchy and we're not actually presenting a united front, then that deterrence effect is undermined by that. That's what he means by like, why would you voice that publicly? Which is true. It's very stupid to do that.
He doesn't try anything. The only thing he tries is to remember the 5 shapes he gets a memory cognition test.
Steve, you've never sat in a room with the guy.
Apparently neither has anybody in his intelligence community, as admitted by Tulsi Gabbard before they went to war in Iran. This guy only sits with sycophants.
That's not true.
Really?
It's not
Who's
true.
advising Trump?
It's not true.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what all the reporting and all the leaks and everything else says.
All the anonymous reporting, yes.
That all seem to be true and everything seems to be upheld.
If it's so true, why don't people go be heroes and put their faces out there?
What do you mean?
Be a hero. If you're going to destroy Trump, give the information and put your name onto it.
I think for the people that have reported on it and the people that have left or the people that have taken a stand against it, their political careers are destroyed. A lot of people don't want to risk it. They should, but...
But
what? It doesn't change
put your
the
name
rest
on
of
it.
any... What do you think?
You sit here, you say what you think, I sit here, I say what I think. Why don't put your name on it?
Okay,
I don't believe
that doesn't change the
I don't believe
facts
that
of what they're
every
reporting on.
single source that's ever wanted to trash his president doesn't have the guts to go on the record. Why?
I wouldn't agree with...
Because maybe it's not true.
You understand?
Or maybe it's because that's what they want people to believe.
You understand that there's a difference between any single source and every single source saying the same thing, right?
I understand.
Okay, so when everybody says that Trump is
You
incompetent,
understand coordination, right?
What?
You understand coordination in media, right? You understand coordination and coordinated
It was the
attacks.
media that made Trump
No,
go to
no,
war
I'm
in
not
Iran.
saying,
It was the
I'm
media.
not saying the media. I'm saying coordination in media where people coordinate
You
to
have
go tell
media
the
derangement syndrome. I'm sorry to say,
Oh,
sir.
yeah, yes, I do, probably.
The media reports on these things.
I probably do,
Donald
actually.
Trump follows through and he does the things, and then you're saying, well, I don't believe the leaks that predicted the thing that Donald Trump ended up doing. How am I supposed to engage with it? And then when I ask you, why did Donald Trump say that 6 members of Congress could be executed, you're like, I don't know. Well, it's selective omniscience. I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know what if this is like Dune 3, if this is like a preview or whatever, when he starts to lose his powers or what. I don't know.
I just don't know how to deal with you. You're just so
Factually correct on
No, you
everything
go
and
back to
not
the
vibe-based.
same tired talking points every single
Because
time.
they're all still in play today. What do you mean?
No, they're not.
We got an SPLC indictment so that Republicans wouldn't have to feel bad about fucking Charlottesville. Tulsi Gabbard opened her IC position by talking about how Obama fabricated Russiagate from 2016. We are still talking about forgiving the J6 people and getting Tina Peters out of prison so that she can fly around
It was a
with a Mike
Democrat
Lindell
governor
guy
who pardoned her.
under Trump's pressure and threatening to withhold aid from states, which he's doing right now, by the way, to pressure other governors. Kind of crazy.
That's not what he said.
What do you mean?
That's not what the governor said. That's not what Polis said.
Goes without saying. I mean, you can have the rhetorical tactics, good rhetoric, charisma, all those things, right? There's no substitute for just having in your back pocket or memorize like all these facts, because you notice on like all these points that they're touching on, like Destiny just has these things committed to memory and whips them out very easily, right? On like every point. And you should take note of that when you're looking at like this debate, for example. Compare this to like any of the other debaters that are out there and everything. Like it goes an incredibly long way. Other examples of this are Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro's good at this. I don't have to agree with him, but I can acknowledge that he does have a lot of like these facts, these statistics, these events like committed to memory, and it helps out a lot in debate. Mehdi Hassan is also really good at this. There's not really a lot of examples out there, to be honest with you. I don't know what it is. These people do it as a professional living, and a lot of them, I just don't know how. They don't know a lot of these things, but they should.
Oh, the governor
Actually, I do know why, because the standards are so low right now. The expectations are so incredibly low right now.
that's being extorted by the president who's threatening to withhold aid didn't tell the public exactly why he's being so nice
Go
to
be a
Tina Peters.
crusader.
What?
Go be a crusader. Go tell the truth.
Well, I can just watch the court videos. You can just watch all the videos. The facts are all out there.
No, I'm saying why didn't the governor come out and say I'm pardoning her under pressure?
That's not relevant to my claim.
You just made the claim.
I made a truth claim for why he's doing it. Donald Trump is
Why do
threatening
you-
to withhold
how do you
stuff.
know that
Donald Trump
that's
has tried
true?
to pardon Tina Peters. I think he forgets the president can't do that sometimes. Tina Peters helps, I think it was Lindell, get into offices.
All right. I'm going to try to jump ahead a little bit because I'm getting a little bit worn out at this point. Let's try to see if there's like another topic that's a little bit more or a little bit different to kind of discuss.
Co-opt election stuff.
I guess we're at the point where I go, is there questions that each of you feel your opponent hasn't answered for you? I know there's a number of times you felt you were being interrupted and vice versa. So is there any questions that you feel Destiny hasn't answered or
Damn, by the way, did you see that? I didn't even know that was the point in the video. It's like I just intuitively, my precognition, I just knew that was the next segment of this this debate or whatever.
do you think there's any questions George hasn't answered? And we'll kind of get towards our last like 10 minutes of the conversation.
Okay. Can you just tell me, how do you feel about, and generally, we don't need to go in circles about it. Like, it's simple. Do you agree with this trend now almost forming with 2024 and now with the main Senate race of all of this, people get votes and then they get forced out, or it's not politically convenient anymore, and then we're discarding votes. And that's all I care about right now. I'm talking about votes, right? Because Democrats like talking about every vote
What is he? I don't know. What is he talking about? Is he talking about Graham Plattner getting pushed out?
matters. Yes, I agree. Every vote matters. I agree. Every vote should be counted. The predicate and the notion of stop the count is insane to me. All right. So do you agree with this position?
But I mean, it's not though, right? Because he was complaining earlier about the fact that the governor, I think it was the governor in New York, right, extending the deadline to count the votes in order to actually count them all, and he had an issue with that. So isn't that stop the count?
Of the Democrat Party now that they are they're taking the voice away of the people that voted for Joe Biden and then now for Plattner, and giving it to the powers that be of whatever the delegates. I don't even know what the process is.
No, I don't.
Not. You don't agree?
Nope.
So how do you come back from that as a party? That's just kind of, how does a party come back from that?
Whatever the answer is to that question, there's no Republican in this country that has the moral authority.
It's not about moral.
No, it is. It really is.
Okay.
That when you have a president,
But I'm engaging
when
with
you
you in
have
good faith. I'm engaging with you in good faith.
not.
The point that he's making is like the issue that Santos is raising is obviously such a small, like it's so dishonest too, by the way, because these are exceptional circumstances. It's not like the Democratic Party just does this as a matter of principle. They just like strip the voters of their people who won the primary. By the way, both Plattner and Biden they dropped out, right? You might have people encouraging them and whatever, but it's not true that the party actually like forced them through some kind of mechanism. They had to be convinced and voluntarily drop out. So it's bad faith in that regard, but also it's like the point that Destiny's making here is like that complaint is such a stupid small complaint compared to everything that's going on the Republican side right now. So to even like lend oxygen to this is ridiculous.
I'm having
We're having a friendly conversation.
I'm having a friendly conversation.
It's only
Okay.
friendly because it's not good faith, right? Because if it was a serious conversation, you would be crying right now, right? It's not a good faith conversation.
Why would I cry?
Because all of your points are absolutely fucking nonsense. And if we were to start fact checking every single thing you said, it was just crazy.
Every single one of your points is based on the fact that you hate President Trump.
It's based on I hate President Trump because the things that I'm saying are true.
You hate President Trump, period.
Because of the things that he's done. Yes, that's how hatred usually
he
works.
lives rent free in your head.
Because he's the president of my country and he's destroying the reputation of the United States.
By the way, there's a really good response. People try to will out this like, oh, TDS thing. It's like, he's the president. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, of course we're going to be concerned about it. Of course we're going to have opinions about it. This isn't some random fucking person off the street that has no impact and, didn't ask for it, didn't call for it. This is an incredibly relevant person.
It's around the world.
Not true.
It absolutely is true. Ask anybody on the planet. What do you mean?
It's not. I mean, it's true to you. It's not.
It's true to Europe, right? Do you think Europeans are happier or
Europeans never liked Americans?
You have no answer to that. It's
No,
just
no,
a
I'm just
absolutely fucking
it's not stupid.
retarded
I
pivot.
traveled to
It's
Europeans
absolutely
have
fucking
always.
retarded.
This is so stupid. It's so not true. I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's just not true, obviously. I'm sure there are some Europeans that don't like Americans or whatever it may be, but we've been allies with these countries for a long fucking time. Europeans constantly come over to the United States for tourism. It's dropped now that Trump's in power, but they have been for a long time. No, I mean, obviously these countries have had generally a pretty favorable view of the United States for the long span of our relationship with these countries for a long time now, even with whatever minor gripes they may have had in the past.
Europeans have always viewed us as arrogant, this or that. That's not changed. You're acting
So
like
they
this
like
is
us
new.
just as much now under Trump.
Why do they view us as arrogant, by the way? Because of the behavior of Republicans and conservatives in this country. Legitimately, by the way. Anytime Europeans are talking about the arrogance of America, every time, think about all the examples, think about any of the events that happened where this was a relevant point in the conversation. It was always because of some crazy, stupid, insane, evil shit that the Republican Party was involved in. The Iraq and Afghanistan war. Was that an example of American arrogance? Yeah. Because we got lied into that war. Because it got us in a quagmire for 20 fucking years. But that was the Republicans and the conservatives and stuff. It's not reflective of the United States as a whole.
As they did under Biden or Obama.
No different.
Okay.
No
it's
different.
wrong. I can't argue with that. It's a delusion. It's a delusion.
It's not.
It is a delusion.
It's no different.
It's a delusion. It's a dangerous. It's Trump derangement syndrome. It is. I'm sorry.
You have
you're the one that has it.
Stop. You have TDS. Okay, so maybe we have. We're both deranged. Let's just go that way.
Well, but the difference is that my hatred is based on a very clear fact
You just
pattern
hate him.
that has been borne out in court case
Trump
convictions,
bad, I get it.
on credible
It's tough.
indictments
It's
with
tough
tons of
world.
factual records released, on special counsel reports,
and that's why
that come from Republicans.
And that's why a court.
Good rhetorical debate tactic here. It's kind of subtle, but Santos is throwing out all these criticisms and rebuttals and everything, and Destiny just kind of ignore them because they're weak on their own anyway, so you can ignore them, and he's just making his point. His point's more important than responding to whatever stupid shit Santos is saying here right now. And you could tell, by the way, if you look at the last few seconds here, it's very obvious how effective that is to just I'm going to let you say whatever stupid shit you're going to say because I have a lot of things to say right now, and they're really fucking good points, and you're not going to derail me from saying it.
Court in New York State, of all places, found that it was an egregious miscarriage of justice that Judge Egron did, and Letitia James overturned the entire conviction of the $400-something million. And barring, I'm just saying, the convictions. You're talking about convictions and
For the 34 felonies in New York State?
Dude, no, I just gave you an example of a court in New York State overturning an entire conviction of a state judge, a Supreme Court state judge, Judge Egron, with Letitia James on the bank fraud stuff. They overturned it, said it was not true. They completely.
Holy shit. Are you telling me you have appeals courts? I'm just hearing about this for the first time. The higher court can appeal the...
Yeah, I was wondering what his point is. I mean, the appellate process, the appeals courts and everything, that's a part of our system. That's a legitimate part of our system.
Return the lower court? Holy shit. Wait, this has never happened in any other case? That's crazy.
Of all places, New
I
York,
would hate
no.
any prosecutor ever.
Of
if any
all
case
places,
that they
New York.
got a conviction on was ever overturned. You've convinced me. That's insane. Oh my goodness.
You're so bad.
That's the exact same as the DOJ trying to throw in an insurance lawyer to file indictments that she doesn't even know how to fucking do for the grand jury process. It's the exact same thing, by the way.
Understand.
Yeah.
I understand. It's very similar to the Democrat Virginia Attorney General who filed motions all over the place and couldn't get it right either, right? That's the elected.
Couldn't get what right for the...
By the way, Legal has a good video on the Letitia James case and how that was like kind of a load of shit. If you want to learn more about that, I recommend that video.
For his recent indictment in Virginia. Did you miss that? He filed the case to the Supreme Court of the United States instead of the Superior Court of Virginia. I mean, that's your party too. And we all have fuck-ups, I guess, and as far as attorneys goes, right?
Well, for the guys in Virginia, that sounds like a fuck-up. For Trump, it's like a clear and consistent pattern over his entire
No, if it's
administration.
Trump,
All right, let me scoot a little bit ahead here. Let me see if there's anything else that's like substantively different that's worth kind of viewing, but I don't want to be here all night.
it's a pattern. But
My staff members who's definitely around and available to be holding that mic and vetting the questions. One more.
No even charges brought relating to anything having to do with Burisma. You can answer that one. Or the second one, what is one fact or assertion from the Mar-a-Lago indictment that you think was incorrect or that you disagree with about Donald Trump stealing classified information? Secret.
One example.
TS, separate access program, SA.
for Trump, but you can't make the case for Pence. You can't make the case for Biden.
Because when they found documents, they went to the classification authority.
Not with the SWAT raid. That's it.
Low, and essentially he is failing the American people.
I think he's working towards lowering inflation. He's very aware. I think he's
Where do I recognize this guy from? I think this guy's also a political commentator or influencer. I feel like I've seen him before. Let me see what his question was, though, Professor.
very
Low, and being he
the standard of promises made, promises kept that he did in his first term. So I agree. And what was the third issue?
he lied to. Well, he made a statement recently saying that he loves inflation when he ran on being having the lowest inflation under any president. So are you willing to admit that he lied to?
Don't have to pay back restitution, yet we hear from Nick Shirley and that bullshit, quite frankly, about all the fraud in Minnesota and all the fraud in California.
Wrap the question, land it. Yeah.
Will you condemn some of those pardons of Donald Trump?
The power of the pardon and clemency is plenary, and it's up to the president. I'm not.
That's not the question. Notice what he's doing there, right? He's asking, like, do you defend the pardons on their merits? And Santos is basically just saying, well, the president has the power to do pardons. No shit. Nobody asked that question. Obviously he does. The question is whether or not that was a good use of the pardon power or if it was a corrupt use of the pardon power. But Santos doesn't want to answer that question because the answer is obviously no. Because they're talking, in this case, they're talking about Trump pardoning people for fraud, right? And Santos doesn't want to like admit that that's what's going on there and that is corrupt. And I think in some of these circumstances, we're talking about people who had connections with Trump or donated to Trump or to Trump's private businesses, you know, the cryptocurrencies that the Trump family is running, that kind of thing. And then they get pardons. So Santos doesn't want to actually substantively defend it. So instead he just defers to this like meaningless statement of like, well, the president has the power to pardon. Yeah, no shit. Everybody knows that.
It's not about condemning. It's like said was wild and insane for an election case that was civil and turned federal, which I'm not here to debate the merits or not, but
yeah. But at the end of the day, when you got your sentence commuted, isn't that also an admission of guilt?
It didn't come with any strings, no. I like you. I was the first, but I wasn't alone. Luke, your shirt is.
I hate Elon Musk. So it's fine.
All right. Thanks, sir.
We share something in common. Look at that.
Hi, Mr. Santos.
You can call me George.
Oh, hi, George. I'm a big fan.
What's your name?
Luke.
Luke, your shirt is revolting. I'm sorry.
Really? Okay, that's disheartening. My question is, what was your experience being one of the first openly gay Republican congressmen among a plethora of closeted colleagues?
Oh my God. I like you. I was the first, but I wasn't alone. I had a support system of closeted queens in Congress with me. I will never say who they are, but
Tom Homan, he accepted a $50,000 cash bribe from, like, during the FBI sting operation. It's all on video, right? And
All right, well, you get the idea anyways. Getting kind of late, so yep, but yeah, to wrap it up, I mean, to reiterate, basically the theme of this whole thing is that you can see what's effective here with what Destiny's doing. Number one, Destiny just has a lot of these facts in his back pocket. He's used to debating these points. He's got experience under his belt. He has a knowledge base under his belt. He remembers these particulars of these different events and cases, and he's able to recall them very quickly. And during this entire thing, the most important thing that I see that there's a huge lack of is that he consistently stays on the offensive, and he doesn't feel bad about it because there's no goddamn reason to feel bad about it. it's our country that we're talking about. We don't owe it to these people to try to like downplay shit for their own party. So, you know, be aggressive about it. There are ways where you can be aggressive where it comes off poorly to a general audience. I think if you're like yelling and screaming at a person, if you're doing a lot of like ad hominem at the same time, if you're a little bit too eager to make points to where you're just shotgunning out a lot of stupid points and low-hanging fruit and stuff that isn't really strong. But in this case, the points that Destiny were making were all like really good points, and he was just making them in rapid succession and not being being unapologetic about actually holding Santos to task on these points and unapologetically bringing up the record of what's been going on, because it's all true. It's all pretty factual. And he did in a way that didn't come off as like desperate and craven. Like the entire time he had that demeanor of like I'm just pointing out all this shit. Like, I'm tired of it. I feel like I'm talking to a child right now. I feel like we're dealing with teenagers, and I'm like the adult in the room that's like look at all the stupid shit you guys are doing. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let you guys off on the hook on it, but I'm also not going to sit there like screaming and yelling and waving my hands around. Like, I'm an adult that's like super disappointed in what's going on, and I'm just going to be incredibly fucking straightforward, and I'm going to straight talk about this whole thing, right? That's kind of the right balance between those things to have. And yeah, so anyways, that's pretty much it for this stream. If you like it, please like and subscribe to my channel. It helps grow the channel. We need more voices like this in politics anyway. So with that, I'll call it a night, and I'll see you in the next one, okay? Bye.